Hey guys. This is part 3 of What If Naruto Can See Spirits. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start.
We are pain, that's all. We are God.
Chapter 28. By the time the duo had returned to Konoha, Naruto had learned quite a bit about misdirection and even a little bit about mind games to mess with people's heads. He wasn't that good at it yet, but Ibiki said that it took practice. The man offered to continue helping Naruto learn more about word games and mind games, which Naruto happily accepted. The duo arrived in the Hokage's office. "Hello Naruto-kun, welcome back." Naruto smiled. "It's good to be back home. How was your trip?" "Good. I'm still in first place," Naruto said with a thumbs up. "I'm glad to hear about that. Will you tell me what the tournament is about finally?" "Nope." "Ibiki, will you tell me what the tournament is about? You have allowed Naruto-kun to go do the tournament without knowing what it is for 5 years?" The Hokage gave a nod. "No, I will not tell you," Ibiki stated flatly. "Ah well, there's always next year," the Hokage said dismissively. "Anything interesting happen?" Naruto pulled out a tiny black marble out of his pouch. "I got my Triple L bomb to work." "Triple L bomb?" "Yeah, it's my low-level layered bomb. It has 3 bombs in it, they explode on command. Like, you explode the first one and then you can explode the second one whenever you want, same for the third." "I see. Anything else?" "Deidara's art is getting even cooler." "That's nice. What jutsu did you win this year?" "Doton, hidden in stones jutsu," Naruto answered. "Interesting. Alright then, I guess you're ready to go home and tell Jiraiya all about your adventure this year." "Meh. I guess," Naruto said with a shrug. The pervert was okay most of the time. He just didn't like the fact the man hated Janken. How one could even hate the game was beyond him. Naruto took his leave though and went to the small house he and Jiraiya lived in. The man came down to investigate the sound of the door opening and smiled at seeing him enter. "Looks like you're back from your vacation, brat. How was it?" "Good, I won. Let's continue with my SEAL training, yeah?" "Alright, fine." Kurama popped out and jumped up onto the couch to relax. He tended to remain hidden when they were in the village proper, but sometimes he popped out to make a comment or tell Naruto something. Whenever he was in some place he deemed safe, he appeared and roamed around as he pleased. Soon the rest of December passed. And with the passing of January 1st, the third and final year of the academy was beginning. This year's focus was jutsus while keeping the other skills at the level needed or improving it. The jutsus that were being taught were known as the basic 7, one of each element, which Naruto already knew. The other 2 were the substitution and henge. They were being taught by a teacher known as Iraka and his assistant, a woman named Sapphire. And so as Naruto sat next to his 2 friends, Shino and Hinata, he once more dozed the academy away. He played shogi against Shikamaru every month or so. He still occasionally participated in the shogi tournament, but he never really made it more than halfway through. The competition was very tough indeed. Anyways, it was now March and the academy had just finished for the day. Shino and Hinata were walking though Konoha to drop Hinata off at her house. "Is that Dash?" He heard a voice whisper behind him. Ignoring his instincts that were telling him to run, he continued on his way. After all, they had probably spotted Sasuke, who was walking across the street from them. Which was why he was unprepared for the 2 girls to appear in front of him. "It is Naruto-kun." He twitched. "I can't believe we found you. When our parents said we were coming to Konoha to pick up some supplies we had, though we might see you, but Konoha is such a big place. We can't believe we actually get to meet you. It's an honor. Will you please sign our poster? There you are, girls. What did we tell you about running off like that?" a man said as he appeared. Then he spotted Naruto. "Ah, Naruto-sama. I didn't see you here." Naruto sighed and gave a polite smile. "It's fine, honestly I didn't expect to meet some fans here." He heard Shino's bugs buzz and what he recognized as laughter. Shino was laughing at him. Hinata though was standing behind him shyly. He quickly signed the posters. "It was nice to meet you girls. I hope you enjoy your stay in Konoha," he said politely, giving a small bow to the family. "What was that?" a more familiar voice asked. Naruto turned to Sasuke, who was staring at him in confusion. "None of your business, team," he told him. Naruto didn't like the boy. First he tried to make him choose between Shino and him, And then when Naruto does choose Shino, Sasuke spreads rumors about the two. Which didn't really bother them much, but it was annoying. To the academy and the lower-ranking ninjas he was known as the dead last and loser. To the higher-ranking ninjas he was known as the bomb maker. To a select few he was known as the spy master. He was an honorary shinobi of IWA and famous for being good at cheating in the Janken tournament, and he was also an undercover Anbu for Konoha and infamous for carrying the Kyuubi. To the clans he was someone making ripples, and there were thoughts that Naruto would be bringing a new clan to the playing fields, though it was uncertain what the clan would be exactly. His tightest held secret was his Sharingan. The only people who knew about it were him, Kurama, and the Shimmers. Oh, and his Gigi knew, but he kept it a secret from the majority of the civilians. He didn't want to be known as a Uchiha or worse being accused of stealing the Sharingan, or any of the other bollocks the civilians might do if they found out. Besides, a ninja's greatest strength is the ability no one knows about. It was something Tobirama had said. The man agreed with his reasons for keeping the Sharingan a secret, which led to his final year of training before he would graduate, which was in October. He still trained at the Anbu headquarters, but that was mostly sparring with other Anbu members. He could only fight at Chunin speeds, even if he could process information at Anbu speed, and run at Anbu speed without weights and with chakra. But his body wasn't used to fighting at the higher speeds, just defending against faster opponents. He also trained in utilizing 4 tails of Kurama's cloak, and could now safely use it in a non-battle scenario, such as his bombs. Though he still wasn't allowed to test his bombs here in Konoha. After all, the explosions were devastating even to stone. On dirt, the ninjas reported that the ground was often twice the crater than on rock. Meaning a T1 5-foot deep 10-foot round on solid rock was often 10 feet deep and 20 feet round on the dirt. His SEAL training continued by Jiraiya and Tobirama, which he was actually starting to understand some of the stuff his father was going on about in his journal. The journal was about his father's work on the Hiraishin. The SEAL work for the Hiraishin is simply amazing. I have been studying Tobirama's work on it for quite a while now, and I am only just starting to understand how it had been put together. Unfortunately, though, the SEAL work on the Hiraishin is user-specific, meaning each user of the jutsu has to craft their own seal, though the concept around each seal remains the same. I have begun deconstructing Tobirama's Hiraishin into the separate parts one find. Such as this part, it is a chakra location seal. Tiny and minuscule by itself, it is actually a central piece to the Hiraishin, allowing the user to home in on the location of which the seal is placed on. But this seal is already modified. It needs to be attuned to the individual's chakra, and only that person can feel the chakra location seal at any given location. Unlike the normal version of this seal, which sends a small beacon to any ninja able to feel it in a nearby distance, the entry goes on theorizing how someone might modify the seal to respond to one user. On the page next to the entry was a couple drawings of the seals. One was labeled Tobirama's chakra location seal. The other was labeled Basic Chakra Location Seal. Naruto could definitely see that there was a minuscule amount of difference between the two, a few lines added here, a few taken away, with only one new mini-seal attached to Tobirama's. It was that mini-seal that Naruto couldn't figure out. His father had on the next page written his success and drew what his modified seal looked like, but didn't state how he was successful. The seal looked exactly like Tobirama's except for the fact that the mini-seal was different, which meant that he had to figure out what purpose the mini-seal had. He figured it was the main component to locking in the chakra signature of the user and giving the location of the seal to the user only, but he didn't see how the little seal did it. He decided to start with the theories his father had written about how to make the mini-seal. It had taken a few weeks, but he finally got it. The mini-seal was created when Naruto mixed a drop of his blood in the ink and channeled chakra into the mini-seal as he drew a basic lock seal. It was after he created this that he saw that Tobirama's and his father's was exactly the same, only both drew the lock seal differently. Nodding, he decided to do the same and drew his lock seal in a swirl, similar to the Uzumaki crest. The use of the blood made the lock seal a partial blood seal. Luckily, though, it wasn't anything more complicated than just binding the seal to him, as then he wouldn't be able to do it without delving further into blood seals. He had tested the seal by creating a few of them on slips of paper and placing them in a few locations. As soon as he placed and activated them, he could feel tier locations in his mind letting him know where they were at, though it was more of a general sense of location than a specific image. It was at this point he realized why his father had complained about having to memorize the entire elemental nation's map. If he could have a mental map of the nations and he connected those sparks of location from where he stood to wherever he was, then he would know where he was going if he teleported to a Hiraishin that was out of sight. Which was truly amazing that Minato had remembered the entire map and was able to pinpoint which Hiraishin tag was where and accurately teleport to each one. So Naruto started working on being able to memorize the elemental nations. Tobirama said he was proud of Naruto for trying to figure out the Hiraishin. Naruto hadn't even considered asking the man for help as he wanted to figure it out himself, following the notes his father had left. Tobirama also mentioned that he had never really considered using the Hiraishin as Minato had used it. Naruto didn't know how he would use the Hiraishin if he ever figured out all of the seals and components, but even if he didn't use it in all of his battle like Minato did, it would still be useful to have in case of a tight situation as a way to escape. The next seal in the formation was a blood seal, which Naruto was not allowed to work on yet since he hadn't learned about blood seals. He was still learning how to wield a gunbai from Madara, which he started carrying on him via a sealed sheath. The sheath was small, only about 1.5 feet long and was only as thick as a normal katana, but the seal work on it allowed Naruto to place the gunbai until only the handle stuck out. Madara had helped him get a gunbai made out of the same material as his old gunbai, which was near indestructible. His skills with the weapon weren't bad. He mostly could use it to defend himself. He was now learning how to conduct his chakra through the weapon. Hashirama was still working on his taijutsu, though he started teaching him the more attack-oriented style of his. Utilizing seals for his gunbai did give him an idea to use that for his gourd so that he didn't have to carry a bigger gourd around to hold more of his Bikachu. First though, he ran his idea across the Aburame clan, who agreed to test it to see if it harmed the bugs before they utilized the idea he had. A normal storage seal wouldn't work though. It had to be a seal that went across an opening much like his sheath to allow something in or out. That was simple. The other matter was allowing a living creature to go across through the threshold unharmed. Since the original seal wasn't designed with the living in mind, Naruto had to figure out a way to allow the bugs in and out of the expanded space. That would be the complicated way though, Naruto figured out after they realized the seal on his sheath would kill the bugs who tried to enter. No, the simple way was to simply put a basic expansion seal on the gourds to increase their size. That had its limitations, but Naruto had already experimented with the seal before, and it was easy to make it instead of double the capacity, nearly 10 times the capacity. So a basic 5 galleon gourd was actually able to hold 50 galleons. Naruto decided to use the 5 galleon gourd as it could be placed easily on his back. The Aburame clan hired him to put this seal on some of the gourds. The only other thing he had done was pull a few pranks, including painting the Hokage monument with his friends by use of his Bikachu. Shino helped him with his Kakachu as they had their bugs dip their feet into different color paints before flying onto the Hokage monument. The duo did a spectacular job of painting the 4 Hokages to look exactly as they did when they were alive, Shino telling what colors to use where since Naruto couldn't tell what colors were what. By the time night ended, the two had finished, and Hinata had one of the most important roles as she had to use a genjutsu to make everyone think the Hokage monument looked normal, until the two boys were done. The next day pandemonium broke out as people realized that someone had painted the Hokage monument, and that they actually made the Hokages look more like 3D paintings. No one suspected the trio of academy students, no one except the Hokage and a few others who knew about Naruto's prankster nature. The only reason they doubted it was Naruto was because it was common knowledge that he was colorblind. The Hokage just figured that Naruto's shimmers helped him. Finally it came around to graduation. The exam took place at the beginning of October. Iruka pulled him to the side at the end of the class the day before and told him, "Naruto, I know you really want to be a ninja, but with your grades as low as they are from you forgetting to turn in assignments, the only way for you to pass would be to get a high score tomorrow." "Okay, sensei. No problem," Naruto said, happily waving the man's concern off. That night he went to bed excited. Tomorrow he would pass the test and become a true ninja of Konoha. Chapter 29. Naruto got up the next morning and beamed. Today was the day. Opening his food scroll, he celebrated with a breakfast of inarizushi. He loved his scroll. Looking at his closet, he picked out one of his nicer coats. He grabbed a random shirt and pants. Grabbing his pouches, he attached them to his belt. His 5 galleon gourd was on his back horizontally. Next he grabbed his gunbai sheath and placed it on his back. He was going to class fully decked out, and ready for anything. He was going to pass this test with flying colors. Even if he would still be dead last due to him not paying attention. Spending a few moments on his hair, he tamed his wild mane. Grinning at his gray reflection, he started to head out, but he was stopped by Jiraiya. "Hey kiddo," the man said, smiling. "Ero Senin." Naruto greeted back with a grin. "I just want you to know that even if you failed due to your lack of paying attention, I'm still proud of you and will gladly accept you as my apprentice." "Why don't we just do that anyways?" Naruto asked. "Because Sensei wants you to learn how to be part of team." Naruto wrinkled his nose. "I plan on passing anyways. I'm pretty sure Shino and Hinata can be the top of the class. Though Sasuke may win for the top shinobi, he and Shino are pretty close in scores." "I see, and what if you don't get a team with those two?" "I don't know. The only people I can't really get along with are Sasuke, Ino, and Sakura. I can sometimes work with the dog boy." "Alright then, good luck kiddo," Jiraiya said, hugging him. Naruto smiled and returned it before heading towards the academy. Sitting down next to Shino and Hinata, he smiled at them as they started lightly talking, excited for the prospect of becoming full-on ninja. Naruto knew he would be dead last, so he wondered who the top shinobi and kunoichi positions would go to. Sasuke and Shino were pretty close for the shinobi, and Sakura, Ino, and Hinata were at the top of the class for kunoichi. The first part of the test was a written test which Naruto answered easily, whether by actually knowing the answer, or by having Madara or Hashirama tell him the answer. Soon the papers were taken up and Sapphire started grading them while Iruka took them to where the next section of the test would be. It was testing their Bukijutsu skills. Moving targets were lined up and they had to hit 4 out of 5 of the moving targets in vital places. They gave the students 5 kunai and 5 shuriken to use. The next portion of the test was a spar against the Chunin, who would obviously be going easy on them but still pushing them to see how well their taijutsu was. They had 10 minutes each to give a good showing. Naruto fought against the Chunin using his mixture of Hashirama and Madara's taijutsu. He went in for quick strikes and then defended himself against the counterattacks. Finally, it was time for the next portion, the ninjutsu test. They were led away from other students one by one. When it came to Naruto's turn, they were at a wide open training field that had a water source nearby. "Alright, show us the basic 7 ninjutsu." Naruto nodded and started with Henge, then he did Kormi. Holding up one hand sign, he did the fireball jutsu. Once more, with only one hand sign, he quickly spat a wind blade, making the fireball even larger and bigger. After the fireball disappeared, he formed a water wall, though he needed half of the hand signs. He followed that with the shockwave, against needing half the hand signs. And then he finished with the earth dome, of which he only needed one hand sign. Iruka smiled and dismissed him, telling him the results would be given once everyone was done. Naruto returned back to the group as the next person was called. Finally, they were led back to the classroom and the 2 teachers started tallying the results. The kids anxiously waited. "Congratulations everyone for putting forth the effort into your ninja career. I am proud to announce that all of you have passed the first exam. You are all now probationary genin until you are given your second test. I cannot tell you anything about the second test, only that your potential jounin senseis will assign it to you. With that being said, you will be given a week off as we determine where to place each student," Sapphire said, smiling gently. "Yes, now I am sure you are all curious as to your class top students. This year's top shinobi is Sasuke Uchiha, though it was only a 5-point difference between him and Shino Aburame. The top kunoichi of the year is Sakura Haruno, though it was a 1-point difference between her and Hinata Hyuga and 2-point difference between her and Ino Yamanaka. Congratulations all of you. It has been one of the closest years I have ever seen for the top positions, and I wish all of you to continue your hard work. I'm proud to call you my students," Iruka said, smiling at all of them. The kids cheered. "Sensei, who's the dead last? I bet it was the fox boy over there," Kiba said, giving Naruto a feral grin. The 2 boys never really spoke much, though they called each other fox boy and dog boy. They didn't get along really well, both of them liking to do things in their own ways. They kinda had a rivalry over which animal was better. Naruto, of course, had to defend foxes. Kiba said dogs were, since his clan revolved around having a dog partner. Iruka sighed. Naruto just grinned. "Of course I'm dead last, how could I be anything but? That's the best spot in my opinion." Kiba scoffed. "How can that be the best spot? The top spot is obviously the best." "Duh, it's the best spot 'cause I'm in it, dog boy," Naruto stated, grinning foxily. "Well, you are both correct, Naruto is the dead last," Iruka confirmed with a sigh. A few kids snickered, but Naruto just smirked proudly. They would all realize one day that he had been tricking them all. He was going to become recognized by all of Konoha and ultimately become Hokage. The class was dismissed. Naruto, Shino, and Hinata celebrated graduating by going to Ichiraku's. Then the two went to their homes to tell their parents the good news. He went back to his home and told Jiraiya the news. Now that they knew the class rankings, it was easy to tell what the most likely teams were. Naruto, because he was dead last, would be placed on a team with Sasuke and Sakura. And with the Ino Shikacho Juniors, they would almost certainly be placed on a team. Which meant that Hinata, Shino, and Kiba would be placed together. The rest of the students were basically just cannon fodder if they passed the second exam, unless they stated developing a unique skill set or became highly proficient in something. He knew that Ino Shikacho Juniors would most likely be specialized in capture and interrogation, just like their parents. Shino, Kiba, and Hinata would most likely be a tracking team. His team, he didn't know what his team would be. He himself was pretty decent at causing major amounts of damage with his bombs, and he had quite a few ninjutsu to back him up. Sasuke had taken to his clan style very well and was hailed as a Uchiha prodigy by the civilians since he had already unlocked his Sharingan and had it at 3 Tomo. It was Sakura he didn't know much about. Frankly, she seemed skilled in all of the stuff taught to the academy students, but he didn't know if she trained in something else. If she even bothered training while not at the academy. It was likely his team would be a heavy assault squad with Sakura providing backup and support. Shrugging off his thoughts, he continued on his seal work. He was now learning about blood seals and their difference from regular seals. A knock on the door interrupted his work. He heard the door open before. "It's your friends Naruto," Jiraiya called up to him. "Coming!" Naruto shouted back as he bookmarked and closed the book. Going down the stairs, he saw his friends sitting on the couch. "Hey Shino, Hinata, what's up? The Akimichi have called for a celebratory feast to the clans with passing children. They asked that we inform you that you and your guardian are invited, since we're your friends," Hinata said softly. "Cool, when's the feast?" "Tonight at 6, it is a semi-formal occasion," Shino stated. "Neat, wait, why am I being invited? I don't have a clan," Naruto questioned. "You may not have a clan, but you are still well known and respected amongst most of the clans," Jiraiya answered. "Ah. Okay then. I assume it's at the Akimichi clan grounds?" "Correct. I'll be there." "I'm sorry I didn't get top kunoichi Naruto-kun," Hinata said looking down. "That's fine. It was amazing, you three girls had such a tight competition for that top spot, and you were only 1 point behind Sakura." The girl smiled. "Well, what do you say we have a friendly 3-way spar before getting ready for the feast?" Naruto asked. The two nodded and the three went outside. "Taijutsu only. If you are pushed out of bounds, you lose. If you're knocked to the ground, you lose." With that, the three spared. Naruto and Shino teamed up to take down Hinata, since she was the best at taijutsu between the three. Naruto was a close second though, but he didn't specialize in taijutsu like the Hyuga did. The two boys managed to tag team her and kicked her out of the ring they had made. The girl watched as the two boys faced each other and Naruto made a quick attack. Shino barely managed to dodge, even though he expected Naruto's quickness. The two boys traded blows for a few minutes before Naruto managed to slide Shino's legs out from underneath him, causing the boy to fall to the ground. He helped the boy up and then the trio separated to go get ready for the fast-approaching feast. Naruto got dressed in his semi-formal clothes. He left his gun by and pouches at home, though he brought his gourd. Over the years with his colony he grew used to them always being close and now never left home without his colony. The Aburame completely understood his feelings. Naruto and Jiraiya left the house and headed towards the Akimichi clan grounds. Once there they were welcomed in. "Greetings, Jiraiya! Naruto-san!" Choza greeted the two, shaking their hands. "I have to say those scrolls you made for us are one of the best things ever invented," Choza told them enthusiastically. "I'm glad you like them," Naruto replied with a smile. "Well, I got others to go greet. Feel free to grab a plate of food and sit down." The duo went and grabbed a plate, helping themselves to the many delicious food items the Akimichi had prepared for the feast. Naruto, once he fixed his plate, went to the table, which had many chairs and some others already sitting. Neither Shino nor Hinata were here yet though. "Fox Boi!" Kiba called out to him. "What dog, boy?" Naruto asked, heading over to him. "I saw you the other day with a fox around your neck. Why didn't you tell me that you have a fox Ninken?" "'Cause I don't." "Oh yeah? Then why did I hear him speak?" Kurama formed himself sitting on the table. Does that answer your question, Smut? Kurama stated. Uzumaki-san. What is that? A woman with a resemblance to Kiba asked. Kurama, he's using a foxbug clone, Naruto said dismissively. The woman looked at Jiraiya, who just smirked. The fox sniffed as it looked at the food, before he glared at the food. Naruto snorted seeing Kurama lick his snout. The Biju glared at him before dispersing the bug clone. Who's Kurama? Kiba asked. Naruto shrugged. The fox you just met. That's not what I meant. How does your bugs form a completely different living entity than you? 'Cause my Bikachu are special, Naruto replied dismissively. Kiba pouted. Soon more quests arrive and Hinata and Shino come sit next to him. The feast continued on for a couple hours, people eating and mingling together. The 8 kids who just graduated were congratulated often and cheers were heard for them. Finally it was time to go home for the night. The rest of the week was passed in nervous excitement as the kids waited to hear who their potential senseis were going to be and just who they were teamed with, even if most of the clan kids suspected who they would be teamed with. Finally it was the night before team announcements, and Naruto fell asleep slowly, anxious to truly begin his ninja career. Chapter 30, Act 2. Naruto sat in the academy next Shino and Hinata. He could feel Shino's bugs buzzing in excitement. His own were stirred up as well, feeling his excitement through the link they had. Today was the start of their ninja career. They all waited eagerly as after another few moments he heard 2 screeches and Ino and Sakura were at the door shoving at each other. HMPF, that Yamanaka clan heir is pathetic. Madara grouched from behind him. Naruto silently agreed, though he would never say such a fact out loud. To be nothing more than a fangirl, he shuddered. He didn't know how Sakura could beat Hinata or even Ino for the position of top kunoichi. But he was about to find out, since they would most likely be team members. Finally Iruka came in and told them all to take their seats. The kids did, Sakura sitting next to Sasuke and Ino sitting next to her. Alright class, thank you for your patience as we form the teams you will be placed on. Now, as I'm sure none of you want to hear a super long boring speech, I will simply say congratulations, and I wish you many years of success. You all are now about to take your second test to become Genin of Konoha. Team 1. Iruka started, then went to list off the teams. Team 7 will be Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and Naruto Uzumaki. Your potential Jounin instructor will be Kakashi Hatake. The girl cheered when she heard her name called with Sasuke's, then she glared at him. Sensei, why is the dead last with us? She asked. Well, the top male and female are paired with the dead last in order to balance the teams out, he said to them. The girl, who Madara had once told him had pink hair, scowled. Alright, continuing on. Team 8 will be Hinata Hyuga, Shino Aburame, and Kiba Inuzuka. Your potential Jounin instructor will be Kurenai. Team 10 will be Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akimichi. Your potential Jounin instructor is Asuma Sarutobi. What's Team 9? One of the students asked. Team 9 is still in rotation from last year, Iruka answered. Now your potential Jounin instructors should be here shortly. Iruka sighed. At the latest they will be here in 3 hours. Please be patient if your Jounin instructor takes a while. With that he turned and walked out the door. They could hear him saying something before some people came in. A few minutes passed before Naruto saw a familiar person. Hey Asuma! He greeted with a wave. The man waved back. Hey Naruto! With that he picked up his students. Naruto settled in for a wait, knowing that Kakashi would take forever to arrive. He had spent some time with the man after the man guarded him, but since Kakashi retired from the Umbu he hadn't seen much of him. Eventually they were the last team left in the room. Hey Sasuke, Sakura, would you like to play Janken? He asked as he quickly became bored. One shouted no and one grunt was his answer. Man Sasuke, your father is much more sociable than you, Naruto commented, trying to rile the other boy. Sasuke glared at him. Naruto just smirked back, his arms crossed. Hashirama sighed. Naruto-chan takes after you so much, Dara-chan. Madara smirked. As he should, after all I am the best. Hashirama just groaned. With a shrug Kurama formed himself and the two started playing Janken, though Naruto didn't cheat against the Biju, mostly cause the Foxbug clone could see the shimmers as well. The two played for an hour with both losing and winning at the same pace before Kurama got bored. So the pink hair thing and the Uchiha brat are your teammates? Kurama asked, looking at them. Yep. Sasuke glared at them, his Sharingan popping into his eyes. Kurama hissed at him. I hate Uchiha. I know you do, Naruto said, rolling his eyes. Kurama glared at Sasuke before dismissing himself again. What was that, Baka? Sakura asked. Foxbug clone, Naruto answered with a shrug as he pulled out his seal book and continued reading on blood seals and the dangers of using them. Unlike a normal seal, a blood seal was made of a user's blood and chakra. The seal was connected to the user permanently once activated, meaning that before you activated the seal it had to be perfect or the seal could seriously hurt you. These seals were often used on prisoners to tell the warden the exact location of where they were. These seals, if designed properly, could also be used to enhance the user's strength. It could also be used as a means of control. The book mentioned a seal called the caged bird seal, which was branded onto a person like a slave mark, and if someone knew the control sequence, they could activate the seal to cause intense pain to the bearer of the seal. Because the seal was a blood seal, there was no way to remove it without causing the death of the bearer of the seal. Even if you removed the physical embodiment of the seal or tried to modify the physical portion, the effect would still be there because the seal was etched into the bearer's very essence. A blood seal was usually a color other than black to show that even if you tried to erase or destroy its physical appearance, it would still be in effect. Naruto wondered if this meant that even in death the bearer of the seal still had it on them. Most blood seals were used as a punishment to someone else, with others being able to control the seal to inflict pain of some sort, or even death. Some blood seals, though, were able to be of benefit, but if done incorrectly could cause injury or death, which was why the use of blood seals was not recommended for experimentation. Some blood seals could be used as regular seals, though their effects were more limited than the normal seal. Such was the gravity seal. That seal was used to make gravity seem heavier to the user of the seal, and they could increase it in levels when they felt they were ready to move on. The blood seal had much the same effect, except it gradually increased the gravity by itself as the user became accustomed to the previous amount. Because the user of the seal is the same person wearing the seal in this case, they can easily turn the seal on and off. When the seal turns off and back on, the seal doesn't go to the same amount it was at previously. Instead, it is lowered by a little bit and works back up to where the user left off before continuing to go up. Naruto thought the gravity seal was interesting and that he might have to try it, though only after talking with Jiraiya about it. My first impression of you two is you're boring, Kakashi said, pointing to Sasuke and Sakura. Huh! What about Naruto Baka? Sakura shouted. Hi, Kaka-chan, Naruto said, waving as he looked up from his book. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes, the man said, disappearing in a swirl of leaves. Sasuke and Sakura got up and ran to get to the roof in time. Naruto raised an eyebrow as he pulled himself out the window and walked up the wall. I knew you would have enough sense to walk up the wall, Kakashi said, reading his orange book. Hashirama glared at him for reading the stuff in front of Naruto, while Madara just grinned as he read of Kakashi's shoulder. Naruto rolled his eyes and said, You're ruining the innocence of little kids reading that trash in front of them. He said, his posture changed to Hashirama's as he mimicked the man's tone and voice. Kakashi just gave an eye grin and shrugged. You can be really creepy when you say what I'm going to say before I even get a chance to say it, you know that, right? Hashirama said with a pout. Naruto just beamed. He pulled out his book and started reading as they waited for his teammates. Finally, Sasuke and Sakura made it up, panting and out of breath. They glared at seeing Naruto sitting there. Now that you two are finally here, why don't you introduce yourselves? What do you mean, sensei? Sakura asked. Well, I want you to tell me your likes, dislikes, dreams, and all that, he said as he put his book away. Can you give us an example? I suppose. My name is Kakashi Hatake. My likes and dislikes aren't that important, and my dream, I haven't given it much thought. Naruto rolled his eyes at the man who just gave an eye smile. Why don't you go, Pinky? My name is Sakura Haruno. I like. She giggled as she looked at Sasuke. I hate Naruto Baka, she screeched, glaring at him. Naruto pouted, dramatically crouching as he bent down from where he sat to draw circles on the ground. And my dreams are. She blushed and glanced at Sasuke. Fangirl scum, Madara commented, crossing his arms and glaring at her. Naruto gave a small nod in agreement. Next up is Broody, Kakashi said lazily. My name is Sasuke Uchiha, not Broody. I like my clan. I dislike those who think we are weak. I have no dream. Instead, my goal is to kill Itachi and bring him to justice for his slaughter of my clan, Sasuke said darkly. Naruto raised a mental eyebrow at that. I guess Fugaku decided not to tell Sasuke the truth about the massacre. Next up is Naruto. Why do you call him by his name and not us? Sakura asked. Because I know Naruto, Kakashi answered. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like a lot of stuff. I dislike those who don't understand the difference between a seal and the item it holds. My dream is to be recognized by Konoha and to become Hokage, Naruto declared, smiling. Kakashi gave a smile at him. Sasuke scoffed at him and Sakura rolled her eyes. As if anybody would want a loser like you to be Hokage. I honestly don't know if you guys are going to pass the second test. Remember, you're not Genin until I give the say-so. That being said, your test will take place tomorrow on Training Field 7. Out of all the teams, the success rate is only 33% for the second test. I would recommend that you don't eat, lest you throw up. But hey, what do I know? I'm only your potential teacher. With that, he was gone. 3 pieces of paper fluttering to the ground. They each picked up a paper. It had more details on the test, including the meeting time. Do you guys want to go eat something and discuss our plan for this? Naruto glanced down at the paper. Survival training, our sensei is going to be putting us through? The two ignored him and walked off. Alright. I'll see you tomorrow then, he said with a sigh as they left. You know, I kinda starting to wish I had at least put in enough effort to not be dead last. Naruto deadpanned. Hashirama just grinned. But you didn't, so now you got to work with your teammates. But what if they don't agree to work with me? Then they fail and you become the hermit's apprentice. Madara commented with a shrug. True, I suppose it isn't that big of a deal. Do you think they're going to take Kaka-sensei's words at face value and not eat? The fangirl will most likely not eat. As for the brat, he might if his father interferes. If not, then he will also probably not eat. Madara commented. Well, I definitely plan to eat, and I'll have my food scroll and ramen scroll on me. I wonder which test Kakashi will give you. Hashirama mused. The bell test. A voice answered them. They turned to see a girl about Naruto's age. Really? So he's using my old test then. Yikes, this isn't looking good for your team, Naruchan. Thank you for the information. What's your name? He asked. Teorita, I was a graduate last year. She replied sadly. Naruto bit his lip. What happened? She shrugged. My team failed the second test. I'm ashamed to admit that I was one of the reasons for that. When Kakashi pointed out why he failed us, I broke. I'm sorry to hear that. Naruto replied softly. I have only really started to learn what being a good person is now. I am ready to pass on, but I was curious as to if your team will pass this year unlike my year. I hope we can, but my teammates don't care for me much. I guess I will see you around tomorrow? The girl nodded before she turned and left. The trio were silent as they went to Ichiraku's and Naruto ate some ramen. Then he went back home and asked Jiraiya about the blood gravity seal. That seal? Yeah, it's one of the medium blood seals, though it is by far one of the most useful of the lot. It's pretty safe as well compared to most other blood seals. Once you're able to draw the seal perfectly without messing up with normal ink, then you can do it on yourself. Jiraiya told him. Cool. With that, Naruto went to his room and started practicing the seal. A few hours later, he was able to draw the seal without messing up. Grabbing an empty ink bottle, he winced as he cut his palm deeply. He let the blood drip into the bottle. A few minutes later, the bottle was a fourth of the way full and the wound had been healed by Kurama. Next, he channeled his chakra into the blood. It moved a little bit before settling back down. Dipping a clean ink brush into it, he started to carefully draw the seal on his wrist. When he was done, he felt a slight increase in gravity, nothing too noticeable though. Sealing his blood ink up, he carefully washed the brush he had used. He had to be careful to make sure no one could get their hands on the blood ink lest they use it against him. He looked at the seal on his wrist. To him it was a dark gray. The seal is a dark blue color, Hashirama informed him. Naruto gave a nod. He could now remove the seal on his skin if he wanted to, and it would have no effect on the seal since it was bound to him. But he kinda liked having the seal on his skin. Smiling, he went to where Jiraiya was working on writing another of those trashy novels and showed him. Good job, kiddo. Jiraiya told him, looking over the seal. I've removed mine long ago, but this is the same color as mine was. I assume those spirits of yours already told you the color. Yep, and cool. You better go to sleep, you have a busy day ahead of you. Jiraiya said, glancing at the clock. Alright then, good night, Ero Sennin. Good night, brat. Naruto went back to his room and changed into his night clothes and fell asleep. Chapter 31. The next day he woke up and got dressed in his full equipment. As he ate breakfast, Hashirama informed him of how his bell test went down, but he had used his because the genin he had been given were all friends with each other, and he wanted to test if they would put their friendship in front of their ninja career. Naruto made his way to the training field and saw that Sasuke and Sakura already waiting. "Hey guys! So did you eat breakfast or nah?" he questioned. "Of course I didn't eat breakfast," Kakashi-sensei said to not eat, Sakura stated. Sasuke simply nodded his agreement with Sakura. "He only suggested that we don't eat. I would much rather be fully energized for whatever he throws at us than to be starving and distracted," Naruto told them. "With that being said, and since we can expect to wait for another few hours, would you guys like some food? I have quite a few different options: ramen, inarizushi, bakudon, some barbecue." He listed of some of the food he had. Sakura wrinkled her nose. "Do you have anything healthy?" "Well, I have some salad. I also have some rice," he said, thinking over his food items. He tended not to eat it much, but it was something Jiraiya forced him to eat occasionally. "I'll take the salad," Sakura finally said as her stomach rumbled. Sasuke nodded his agreement. Naruto pulled out his food scroll and opened it up. He pulled out 2 sets of chopsticks from one of the seals and handed them over. "So all you have to do is dip the chopstick into the seal to pull out some food," Naruto said, demonstrating as he pulled out a bit of rice from that seal. "Feel free to eat anything in the seal." The two stared at the scroll in shock. Hesitantly, Sakura dipped her chopsticks into the seal labeled salad and pulled out a few leaves and a tomato. She ate it, then blinked. "This is good. Do you have any dressings?" "Only ranch and balsamic vinegar," Naruto answered, pointing at the 2 seals. He unsealed a bowl. "Feel free to fill it up with salad and then pour the dressing onto it," he said, unsealing the ranch bottle. Sasuke was still eating directly from the seal, though Naruto noticed that more often than not he had tomatoes in his chopsticks. Sakura filled the bowl up halfway before pouring some ranch on it. "Where did you get this scroll? This is unlike any other preserving scrolls I've seen," Sasuke asked. "I made it. I'm a bit of a seal user. I made this last year when I wanted to always have popcorn on hand," he mentioned. Sasuke just nodded. They continued eating for a little bit before they finished. "Good, now can we discuss what we are going to do?" "What do you mean?" "Well, Kaka-sensei said that it was a survival exercise, yeah? Which means he's going to put us through a test where either our skills will be tested, or our actual survival skills and how well we will be able to survive from having to forage for food and stuff. Since I doubt it's the second one, he is probably going to be testing our skills. So I'll just show him that I'm skilled enough, and then I'll pass," Sasuke retorted with a frown. "Do you think you're strong enough to beat a Jounin?" Naruto asked. Sasuke grunted. "I don't know how he plans on testing our skills, but if we 3 combine our skillet, then we're more likely to pass the test than if we each try to do it individually. I mean, we were made into a team for a reason, yeah?" Naruto asked. Sakura gave a nod. "Of course we were made onto a team. All ninjas start out as a genin team. The only exception is when someone requests that they have a student for an apprenticeship." Sasuke frowned at this, but he did nod in confirmation. Naruto inwardly smirked. Good, if he could get them to realize that all genin were in teams of 3, then maybe they could actually pull this off. "Alright then, so let's see what skills we have to work with then. Sakura, why don't you tell us what you think is everybody's strong point is? Sasuke, I would like you to tell what you think everybody's weak point is. Then starting with me, we will go over what we think is our strongest and weakest point." The other 2 nodded in agreement. Sasuke-kun's strongest point is his ninjutsu skills. He knows more jutsus than anyone else I know, and he has the Sharingan. "Naruto, you never really showed much in the academy, but you were always good at taijutsu. My strongest point would be my brain," she said. Sasuke grunted. "Sakura's weakest point would be her lack of stamina and her fangirlism, Naruto." He frowned as he looked at the boy. "His lack of trust in other people," he finally said. Naruto shrugged at that. "Mine would be chakra control. Alright, I believe my strongest point to be my explosions, though I'm not allowed to use anything except for the low yield in friendly battles. So my taijutsu would be my second strongest point. My weakest point is genjutsus." His other weak point was chakra control, though it wouldn't seem like it. He may know multiple chakra exercises, but that really only gave him the control of a chunin, instead of an umbu, Such was the curse of a large amount of chakra. The other two looked at him for a moment. Then Sakura started. My strongest point is, like I said, my brain, and I agree with Sasuke that my weakest point is my stamina. My strongest point is my Sharingan and ninjutsu repertoire, closely followed behind by my shurikenjutsu skills. My weakest is, like I said, chakra control. Alright, now is there anything else anybody thinks about each other's skills? The two shook their head. Alright, Sakura, since we all admit that your strongest point is your brain, how about you be the team strategist? She nodded and took a deep breath. Right, once we learn what our sensei is going to test with us, we should get away and meet to plan our course of action. Naruto smiled at her as she looked at them. Where will we meet then? Sasuke asked. Sakura paused, frowning. Kaka-sensei won't be here for another hour at least. We can take a quick scouting around the training field, Naruto suggested. That sounds good. The three went and scouted the training field before returning back to where they had been earlier. Where the river bends, there is some good hiding spots where we can meet up, Sakura suggested. The two boys gave a nod. After Sensei gives us our test, we will meet there and discuss our plan then, yeah? Agreed, Sasuke muttered. Sakura nodded. With their plan in place, the three probationary genin waiting for their sensei to arrive. Finally, 3 hours after the scheduled meeting time, he arrived in a swirl of leaves, casually reading his book. Hashirama sighed in disappointment. Hello? The man greeted, looking up with an eye smile. Now we are going to begin your second test, he said, putting his book away as he pulled out 2 bells. He shook them gently, causing a chime to ring out. These bells are your objective. Get a bell and you become a genin. Simple, yeah? The 3 potential genin slowly nodded. It did seem simple. But sensei, there's only 2 bells, Sakura pointed out. Yep. Which means... He trailed off, looking at them expectantly. Naruto paused as he remembered one of Ibiki's lessons, even as Sakura said, Only 2 of us can pass? Kakashi gave an eye smile, which Sasuke and Sakura took for a confirmation. That's a lie, Naruto replied, crossing his arms. Sakura, remember what you said earlier. She and Sasuke frowned as he said that. Well, besides for that, the person who doesn't get a bell will be tied to a post as the other 2 eat. If none of you get a bell, then it's up to me who eats and who doesn't before I fail you all, he said with a nice smile. Come at me with the intent to kill. The only thing banned is Naruto's higher explosives. The test ends at midday, Kakashi stated as he tied the bells onto his belt. Naruto pouted. Begin, he stated. The 3 kids disappeared. Naruto, before he went to the meeting spot, created a clay clone of himself, utilizing his low-yield explosives. He made his way to the spot and was slightly surprised to find Sasuke and Sakura both there. Alright guys, so what's our plan to get the bells? Naruto asked. Sasuke frowned. There's only 2 bells. There is no need for 3 of us to work together if only 2 of us are going to pass. If you will recall, never actually confirmed that only 2 of us will pass. He trailed of letting you draw your own conclusions. Sakura, you stated earlier that all genin teams had 3 members, yeah? So why would there be one with only 2? Her eyes widened. The true test is to see if we will work together then. Sasuke nodded in agreement. Right, if that's the case, how are we going to get the bells? Sasuke will use his ninjutsus to attack Kakashi. Naruto, he said you can't use your high-yield explosives, which means you can use low-yield, correct? Naruto nodded in confirmation. Alright, so Naruto will throw explosions to keep Kakashi on edge from having to protect himself on 2 fronts. When I get a chance, I will throw a kunai to try and get the bells detached from his belt. Your 2 goal is to get him so distracted that he doesn't notice the bells disappearing. Once he no longer has the bells on him, lead him away and I will grab the bells. Then you 2 get yourselves away from him and come find me, she said confidently for a moment before she bit her lip. If you 2 think it will work, that is. The 2 boys nodded and then an explosion ringed out. That was my explosive clay clone. We better split, Naruto told them. The 3 potential genins split apart. Soon Naruto found himself at the edge of a clearing as Kakashi calmly stood in the center. A moment later, Sasuke came out, his Sharingan active as he started forming hand signs. Naruto reached into his pouch and pulled out some low-yield marbles. He tossed them out and exploded them with a silent katsu whenever Kakashi got close to one of them. Interesting tactic, Kakashi muttered as he substituted with a log to get away from one of Sasuke's fireballs. Naruto tossed out another handful of the marbles. Occasionally Naruto noticed some kunai and shuriken pass by, but none of them ever hit the string of the bells, though some were being thrown by Sasuke. He threw his own just to add another layer of distraction as he created a couple more clay clones. He also made a couple earth clones to mix in with them. He threw even more explosions, silently chanting Katsu as he moved his hands to the cross position. Finally Naruto noticed that one of the bells were cut free. Sasuke must have noticed as well because he started trying to mush Kakashi away. Naruto helped as well as the two moved Kakashi away from the clearing. One bell was better than no bell after all. One of his clay clones exploded and Kakashi destroyed a rock clone. The two managed to push Kakashi away from the clearing, and after another minute the two stopped their attack and fled back to Sakura, who was holding the bell. Kakashi appeared in a poof of smoke and a second later the timer went off. "Congratulations Sakura, you got a bell," he said with a nice smile. He then tied Naruto to the post. "Now this is quite interesting. Only one of you managed to get a bell dash. Actually all of us managed to get a bell." Sasuke interrupted, smirking. "Oh? And how is that?" "Because we all worked together in order to get the bell from you." "You only said we had to get the bell, not that we had to keep it," Sakura answered, handing the bell to Sasuke. "Sakura was our tactician who created the plan and then we worked together to execute it," Naruto told him, smirking. Sasuke placed the bell on top of Naruto's head. Said boy rolled his eyes. "I see," Kakashi stated, looking at all of them. Well, I suppose you three might still have a chance to pass. Just answer me this, what is the most important thing to a ninja?" Sakura frowned and looked at the two boys, who nodded to her to answer. "Is it teamwork, sensei?" "Sasuke, Naruto?" he asked. "Teamwork." Both boys agreed with Sakura. After all, she was the brains of the three. Kakashi gave them an eye grin. "Congratulations, you three pass. Ninja who break the rules are scum, but those who abandon their teammates are worse than scum. I did that once and it cost me my best friend." Kakashi spoke quietly. "You may not fully like each other, but you're a team now, and I expect you three to act like it. I don't care if it costs you the mission, your team comes before everything else. Do you understand?" "Understood," the three shouted. "Good, now since you three pass, let's go get some food," Kakashi said with a nice smile as he cut Naruto free. The three students followed their new sensei to the ever-popular barbecue shop. The three ate lunch together before returning to the training field. "Alright, we're going to go over your full skill set now. I want you to list each skill branch, ninjutsu, taijutsu, etc., and how proficient you are in them for a genin. For example, my ninjutsu is highly skilled, while my kenjutsu is my weakest skill. List only the skills you use." Sasuke. Ninjutsu, highly skilled. Taijutsu, above average. Genjutsu, below average. Bukijutsu, above average. Chakra control, weakest skill. Good, slightly above average across the board. We can work on chakra control. Next, Sakura. Ninjutsu, average. Taijutsu, below average. Genjutsu, average. Bukijutsu, average. Chakra control, highly skilled. My weakest skill is my stamina. Anything unique? Kakashi asked. No. We will have to find you something so you're not a completely average ninja. Finally, Naruto. Ninjutsu, highly skilled. Taijutsu, above average. Genjutsu, weakest skill. Bukijutsu, average. Chakra control, Chunin level. I need help to figure out how to better control it. Explosions, highly skilled. Kenjutsu, above average. Bikeichu, below average. Fuinjutsu, above average. Janken, number 1. Naruto finished with a grin and a victory sign. Alright, so we have to find some way for you to get better at genjutsus. What sword do you use for kenjutsu? Not a sword. Naruto replied with a shrug. Kakashi just nodded. Alright, that's all for the day. I have to go and make a plan for how we will take your training. See you tomorrow, he stated and disappeared with a poof of smoke. So what are your high-yield explosions? Sasuke asked. They're my T1 and up bombs. I'm not allowed to use them in Konoha. Anyways, my godfather is waiting to hear if I pass or not, so I'm heading out. See you later, he said, turning and walking off. He heard Sakura ask, Did you know he had a godfather? And Sasuke grunted no in response. He continued towards the house and entered. Hey Jiraiya. Team 7 passed. I'm now officially a genin of Konoha. That's good, brat. What test did Kakashi give you? The bell test. The man guaffled. I see the tradition has continued then, that's good. I'm going to go continue my study on blood seals. Once I finish the book I'm learning, I'm going to see if I can figure out the next seal for making the Hiraishin. Be careful. Jiraiya warned needlessly. I know. Naruto told him. The rest of the day he studied blood seals and then as night fell he ate dinner and went to sleep. Chapter 32. The next few days passed by normally, with Kakashi just testing them to see their skills in action, but today was Naruto's birthday. Jiraiya made sure the invites were sent to the normal people, but Naruto was going to invite Sasuke and Sakura over personally once team training was done. He went and they did their normal training, Sasuke on chakra control, Sakura on stamina, and him on genjutsus. Finally team training was done. Kaka-sensei already knows, but today is my birthday, I'm having a party at my house, would you two like to come? Sure. Naruto smiled. It is a semi-casual event, and it begins at 6, I look forward to seeing you there, he said. He went back home as he and Jiraiya worked to finish the last-minute preparations. Finally people started arriving. Hinata came with her father, Shino came with his father, Sasuke came with Fugaku who was always invited. Kakashi came as did Inoshikacho and the juniors. Guy and Asuma arrived and even Ibiki came, though this was his first year invited. Finally Sakura arrived. She seemed stunned when she came in to see how many people were actually in his house. Hello Sakura, he greeted. Please enjoy yourself while you are here, the main event will begin at 7. What is this? My birthday party. There's so many people here, she said looking around. Madara scoffed a bit in the background. Hashirama cuffed him. He glared at Hashirama. Naruto ignored them as he focused on Sakura. Yeah, I guess some of the parents are invited with the kids since it would be rude to only invite the heir of the clan and not the clan head, Naruto told her. She blinked. What do you mean? I forgot you're not a part of a clan, or have any teaching into clan politics. Piece of advice Sakura, if you really want to have a chance of marrying Sasuke, you should learn the clan politics, he told her. Uzumaki-san. Ibiki greeted with a nod. Ibiki-san! How are you doing? I'm doing well and you? Fine, this is Sakura Haruno. Naruto replied introducing her to him. Sakura, this is Ibiki Marino. He dipped his head in acknowledgement towards her. I only came to wish you a happy birthday, I have left a gift on the table for you. I will see you next week Uzumaki-san. Alright then, see you next week Ibiki-san. Naruto replied back as the man nodded and left. Sakura frowned a bit. He seemed. She shrugged, unable to find the word. To the point? Naruto questioned with a small smirk. He can be sometimes. If you asked him a question, don't expect for it to be answered in the way you want, he said with a chuckle. She just blinked. She watched Naruto as he greeted Asuma. Will I be expected to do any political stuff here? She asked afterwards. Not particularly, they will know you're not from a clan, just be polite, always address the clan heads with their clan name and the sama honorific unless you are on friendly terms with them. You're a kid, and not a clan heir, so you aren't expected to know any of the formal niceties and all that, he told her. If you're really worried about it, maybe you should ask Sasuke to tutor you. Ask it like this, first bow to him then say, Sasuke-san, I would like to request your tutorship in politics. He should be able to help you get your foot into the door, Naruto said with a smile. With a small wink he leaned closer and whispered. And you might find yourself alone with him, you could use this opportunity to better know him as a friend, after all if you know what he likes. Naruto trailed off as he leaned back. He was using the same trick Kakashi had tried to use on the bell test. He was letting her draw opinion of what he meant. Sure, it could be taken that if she knows what he likes then she can make herself seem more appealable to Sasuke. Or if she knows what he likes she might just find that she doesn't actually love the Uchiha clan heir. Still, by doing this he was able to get into her good books. He watched for a moment as she went over and bowed to Sasuke. Greetings Uzumaki-san. A voice spoke from next to him. Turning he gave a small bow. Greetings Hiruto-sama, I hope you are enjoying yourself. It is adequate, I hear you have made genin under Hatake. I am now a member of Team 7. Naruto answered with a small tilt of his head in the direction of Sasuke and Sakura. How is your team? I have heard that you and the Uchiha boy tend to not get along. It has been fine, we get along for the sake of our team, but usually as soon as the training ends we go our separate ways, Naruto answered. I see, Hinata was disappointed to not be on your team, he commented lightly. Warning bells started ringing in Naruto's head. It was a shame that we were unable to be on a team as we had wanted, but at least she and Shino could be on a team together. The Hyuga clan had stared at him for a moment. Good evening, Naruto, Shino said, appearing next to him. Naruto gave a polite bow to Hayashi. If you will excuse me, I must speak with my other guests. The Hyuga clan head gave a small nod and went over to Shibi. Naruto gave a small sigh of relief as he turned to Shino. Hey Shino, thanks for that. I have a feeling Hyuga-sama is planning something. It would not be a surprise. Shino replied back. What do you mean by that? Well, Hinata is of age for marriage contracts to start being drafted if she has not had a contract set for her at birth, Shino told him. Naruto shook his head. I'm not interested in marriage, he said, wrinkling his nose. He hears Shino's bugs buzz in laughter. He pouted at the boy. Yeah, laugh it up. The party continued on for a little longer, and Naruto noticed that his Gigi arrived a few minutes before 7 came and a big cake was revealed. Jiraiya grabbed him and led him to the front where they stood and clinked the fork against the glass. Thank you all for coming. Today is the 12th birthday of my godson, Naruto Uzumaki. Let's all wish him a happy birthday, he said, throwing his arm around the boy, who rolled his eyes. Shouts of happy birthday were called out to him. Naruto took the knife and cut the first slice. Soon other people came up and cut into the cake. Naruto made his way over to the third. Behind him stood Tobirama. Hey Gigi, Naruto said with a smile. Hello Naruto-kun, how is your birthday? Good. That's good to hear. I was wondering if you will be going to the tournament this year? Of course, even if I have to use up my vacation days to take the tournament, I don't want to lose my position. I see, I still have to determine who your guard is this year. Don't already have a person in mind to tell you what the tournament is? Naruto said with a teasing grin. If you can convince Ibiki to not tell me, I don't think there is anybody I can send who will tell me, Sarutobi said with a chuckle. Well, I remember when the birthdays used to just be me and you. The old man chuckled. Now look at you. The old man smiled. You're well on your way to becoming Hokage, the man said, ruffling the boy's hair. Naruto beamed, his heart feeling warm. Thanks, Gigi, he said softly, grateful to the man who had looked after him. The man nodded and went to mingle amongst the other guests. The party continued for another hour with the guests mingling. Some coming and talking to him, congratulating him for becoming a genin. Others mostly hanging back since they were only there because politics. Naruto made it a point to at least say hello with everyone and exchange some small talk before moving on. Eventually the guests all left, and Naruto collapsed onto the couch exhausted. Finally they're gone. Now we can see what your haul is this year, Jiraiya said with a grin, pointing to the table which held quite a few presents. Naruto grabbed the largest present first. Looking at the tag on it, the present was from the Ino Shikacho Alliance and the juniors. Opening it, he found a nice, well-crafted shoji board. He was quickly able to spot that it was custom-made, as it had an engraving of the Uzumaki swirl on it. Smiling, he put it to the side as he grabbed the next present. It was from the Hyugas and was a book on advanced chakra control. Maybe he could find a new chakra control exercises in it. The next present was a scroll from the Aburames. Opening the scroll, he saw it was a small genjutsu utilizing his bugs to make it seem like there were more than there actually was. Next he grabbed the gift from the Uchihas, which was another scroll with a jutsu, the Katon, dragon fire technique. It was a small technique which spat fire onto wires to burn a captured enemy. Jiraiya finally shoved a present in his hands. Naruto just grinned at the man as he slowly took his time to unwrap the present from Jiraiya. It was a book on advanced Fuinjutsu. Naruto thanks Jiraiya before moving on to the next gift, which was from Kakashi. It was a rather simple book on genjutsus. Naruto grabbed the square gift and read the tag. It was from the third. Opening the packet, he saw a hapuri in it. A note was attached. Naruto-kun, I'm sure you will receive a lot of items to help with your training, but I thought that this might be a bit better. As you know, my sensei wore a hapuri instead of the traditional headband. When I was thinking of what to get you, this came to mind. When I see you working so hard to get stronger, just so you can become recognized by Konoha and become the next Hokage, you remind me of him. Tobirama always thought of Konoha as a family, and I know that one day you will be the next ruler of the family. Gigi. Naruto smiled as he read the letter. He couldn't help but to tear up a bit in happiness. People believed in him. His Gigi thought he could become the next Hokage. Naruto carefully took off his headband and put on the hapuri, slightly surprised by just how well it felt. Looking good! Hashirama beamed, giving him a thumbs up. Madara nodded in agreement. You definitely wear it better than Tobirama does. Thanks, Naruto said before he went to grab his next gift, which was from Asuma. It was a small card. Hey, I know that usually kids don't learn their chakra affinities till they're chunin, but I figured this would be a good gift. This chakra paper will tell you your primary affinity, just push chakra into it. The results should be pretty obvious, but if you're confused I'm sure Jiraiya will tell you. Taped onto the card was a small square paper. He carefully pulled the paper off. Oh cool, a chakra paper, let's see what you got. Naruto nodded and pushed a bit of chakra into the paper. The paper violently ripped in half before burning. Nice, you have 2 primary affinities. Wind and fire. Someday we'll have to test to see if you have any secondary affinities. Naruto just gave a small grunt at that. The Uchiha be strong with this one. Hashirama muttered as he sighed and looked up as if begging for patience. Madara scowled and cuffed him. Hashirama pouted. Madara scoffed. Naruto just chuckled at the two's antics. At least Naruto-chan likes me, the man said, throwing his arms around Naruto's neck, suddenly sitting next to him. Madara just shook his head and sighed. Naruto grabbed his next gift, a book from Ibiki. A book on gathering information from people physically. Hashirama and Jiraiya scowled at the book. Naruto just put it with his other stuff. He wasn't particularly interested in having to torture others to get information, but it was an interesting gift, and it wouldn't hurt to at least know about it. The final gift on the table was actually from the Umbu, which meant the commander and his old guards, who no longer guarded him since he was a genin. Opening it up, he blinked in surprise to see that it was a slightly worn scroll. It was labeled the Uzumaki Whirlpool Taijutsu style. All in all, it was a good birthday this year, though there were quite a few jutsus and stuff unlike previous years. Though that was probably because he had just became a genin. The clan families would be now fully passing down their techniques to their children after all. Naruto yawned as he gathered his gifts and put them away in his room. Changing into his clothes, he collapsed onto his bed and was asleep before his head even hit his pillow. Chapter 33. The next day he woke up with a sigh. It was the weekend, which Kakashi left them to train themselves or relax as they saw fit. Naruto, though, had finished studying blood seals and was now ready to take a look at the next part of the Hiraishin seal. Looking at the journal, he read what Minato had written. The next seal I discovered in Tobirama's Hiraishin is a blood seal. I never was a huge fan of the seals, though the gravity seal is quite useful. Anyways, this seal is a blood connection seal, which is relatively simple to do as it makes it so only that specific user can use it. I'm actually shocked that such a simple seal is incorporated into it. The paragraph ended there, but the next paragraph said, on second observation with comparisons between Tobirama's blood connector and an ordinary blood connector, there are a few subtle differences. Looking at these differences, I realize that it actually allows Tobirama to carry and bring along someone else through the technique. And in fact allows for him to connect someone else to the formula. It is ingenious. Tobirama was truly a brilliant man to be able to incorporate all that with his blood seal. Unfortunately, I have to study the seal further before incorporating Tobirama's directly into mine. Below the paragraph, it had a drawing of both a normal blood connector seal and Tobirama's with scribbles marking the difference, and stating what he believed each mark's purpose was. On the page next to it was another seal that his father helpfully labeled as his seal. Naruto noticed it was slightly different from Tobirama's, though unfortunately his father didn't write why his seal was different from Tobirama's or what the differences did. So Naruto began the slow work of deciphering his father's seal. He easily recognized some of the additions, which was simply modifying the seal so that Minato would be able to use it more easier, and it was actually making it so that the seal was more thoroughly connected to each person, making it more like an extension of the user's will than a jutsu. Once Naruto realized that, he was able to get to work on redesigning the blood connector seal to serve his purpose. It took him the full weekend to do it, but he was able to design the advanced blood connector seal. He stored the design with his chakra location seal. He was slowly working his way through the Hiraishin. The next seal was a seal to break the body apart into its molecular structure, and then reform it. Naruto stared at the complicated-looking seal and decided to continue the project another time. Eating dinner, he went to bed. The next day they met up with Kakashi and he started training them, trying to first help them overcome their weaknesses. For Sasuke, he taught him tree climbing. He had also started Sakura on that as he stamina exercise. For Naruto, he subjugated him to genjutsus after telling him how to break out of them. Then they break for lunch before they went to mission control. Team 7 ready for our first mission, Kakashi announced with an eye smile. Oh? Well, let's see. We have a small selection of D ranks for you. Would you like to paint a fence, clean a house, babysit, or pick up trash? Well, team, what would you like? Kakashi asked with an eye grin. What kind of missions are these? Sasuke asked with a frown. They are the mission that freshly graduated genin like yourself can do. If you complete enough of them, then you can then go on a C rank, Kakashi answered. How many D ranks are enough to go on a C rank? Sakura asked. Well, usually it's actually closer to 100 D ranks before we take you out for a simple C rank, but the bare minimum of D ranks needed at 10. Kakashi told them with an eye smile. How many D ranks can a team take in a day? Sakura asked next. The two boys listened as they realized Sakura had caught on to something. I believe that a genin team is only allowed up to 3 D rank missions a day. She nodded. Alright, then we will take the fence painting mission, the house cleaning mission, and the picking up trash mission. The Hokage chuckled. Alright then, here are your mission scrolls. Kakashi grabbed them with an eye smile. Thank you, Team 7 will complete the missions and return soon. They exited the mission room and Kakashi led them to a house with a fence. Next to one of the gates was a couple paint cans. The 3 genin quickly got to work painting the fence. A couple hours later, and the 3 genin finished. Next they went to the next mission location and they found a house that had dust stacked up an inch thick on almost everything, though there was a trail where it looked like someone walked in and went through everything. An old woman stood at the door. Hey there, you ninja are that I hired. I've been waiting forever for you damn slowpokes to arrive. She said, her voice high-pitched and croaky as if she didn't talk much. My grandson wants me to move into the new retirement home since I can't live here anymore. So now I have to sell this place. So chop chop, get to cleaning. What are you standing around for? She asked, looking at them as she pointed to the dust and grime. The 3 genin sighed silently as they got to work, though Naruto was able to listen to Madara and Hashirama mess about. Madara was making snide comments about everything and Hashirama was scolding him about his comments, saying he was being rude. Madara just smirked. You know you find my remarks amusing. No one can see you besides for Naruto and me, just admit it. Hashirama went silent as Naruto glanced at him from the corner of his eyes. He saw Madara grin even wider. Come on, Hashirama, I know you're not a stickler like your brother. Madara coaxed. Fine. Hashirama stated, looking away. Madara chuckled and went back to making his snide remarks. How long are you ninja going to take? I thought you youngsters were supposed to be fast or something. The woman grouched in a shrill voice. Madara snorted. Oh, would you just shut up already, you old hag? They are going faster than you ever did. A wide grin spread across his face as he added. Unless it was when you were CU dash. Hashirama choked as he quickly slammed his hand onto Madara's mouth. Naruto paused and sweat dropped. Had Madara been about to make some perverted comment? Madara! Don't make jokes like that in front of Naruto! I won't let you corrupt him! Hashirama said, cuffing Madara on the head. The Uchiha just rolled his eyes. HN. He grunted in reply. Don't you whatever me! Hashirama said, pouting. Madara smirked. Other than the two being up to their normal antics though, and Naruto trying to not laugh at it all, the cleaning went pretty smoothly, and only took them an hour and a half. Finally it was time to do their last mission, in which they had to pick up trash from one of Konoha's parks. It may seem like that should be pretty easy, but the civilians never listened to the rule of don't litter, and so trash was everywhere. It took them an hour to finish cleaning up the mess. The 3 then returned to the mission office to report their success. They were dismissed for the day and then they each went their separate paths, tired from the hard work they did. The next day they got up and had to do the same thing over again. They once more grabbed 3 missions, wanting to get as many done as soon as possible. The next week passed by with team training in the mornings, and in the afternoon they did 3 D-rank missions. It didn't take long for the genins to become unhappy with the chores, though they continued to sludge through them. Finally it was Friday and the 3 genin were done. They had done a mission to clean out the carrier bird nesting area, and they had to catch Tora for the 3rd time in as many days. The 3 members of Team 7 were tired of the chores. The 3 trudged into the mission center, scratched up from catching Tora. The demonic cat was hissing and spitting from the crate the 3 had shoved it into after Sasuke managed to use his Sharingan to knock it out. They returned the cat to its owner, and the woman started hugging the cat tightly. The Hokage smiled at them as he listed of the mission options they had for their third mission for the day. Let's see, the Academy is requesting a team to clean a room. There's a babysitting mission available. The Inuzuka kennels need cleaning dash. A yelp and shout of Tora interrupted him. The Hokage chuckled. And I believe the Catch Tora mission is available again. GG, is there any C-rank mission we can take? Naruto asked, desperate to do something other than the chores they had been given. Beside him, Sakura and Sasuke nodded. Yeah. We have done the minimum of 10 D ranks, Sakura added. Iruka frowned at them. You three are fresh rookies. All you can do is D ranks. The ninja ranking system is in place for a reason. You wouldn't be safe taking a C-rank mission. Iruka, the Hokage said, cutting the man off. He turned to Kakashi. Well, they are your team. What do you think? Kakashi looked at his students. I think they can handle a simple C-rank. The third nodded and looked through the C-rank missions. Here we go. This will do nicely, an easy bodyguarding mission. He nodded, and then a moment later the door opened. In came a stumbling, intoxicated man. My name is Tazuna, and I'm a super bridge builder. You are to give me super protection, while I build my super bridge, the man declared, lifting his bottle up. The man blinked as he looked at them. Huh, I thought I was getting super ninjas, not super brats. We are ninjas, Tazuna-san, Sakura said politely. I see. Well, please give me super protection while I build my bridge, Tazuna shouted, waving the bottle and taking a sip. Of course, Naruto agreed, beaming at the man. His posture resembled how Hashirama normally stood. Sasuke agreed. Alright team, we will meet at the bridge at 8 a.m. We will be on time. The for once went unsaid. The three genin nodded. After 3 days of Kakashi being 3 hours late in a row, they just didn't bother showing up until 3 hours had passed. Kakashi had been proud of them for following in his footsteps. Of course, sensei. Make sure you pack enough supplies for a month. Naruto paused. A month? Yeah, that's how long the mission is estimated to be. Mentally calculating that gave him roughly 2 weeks before he had to head out for the tournament. He gave a nod. Alright then. It better not take too much longer than that though. I got a vacation to go on. He muttered. Team 7 split as each went home to pack. Naruto was mostly already packed since he carried a lot of stuff on him via his seals. He just made sure to grab a few extra sets of clothes. Nodding once he was packed, he went to bed early after eating some bakudan. Tomorrow he would go on his first real mission. Chapter 34. Naruto made his way to the gate the next morning, looking the same as he normally did. He saw Sasuke and Sakura standing there, both with backpacks on. It was only a minute later when Kakashi walked up to them with their client. Alright. First things first, I want to make sure that you guys have packed the essentials. Sasuke, what did you pack? A 1-month ration scroll, 2 extra sets of clothing. I also have extra weapons and a few explosive notes. I have a few scrolls to read for if I have free time, Sasuke said. Good. You have met the bare essentials. Sakura? Same thing as Sasuke, only I don't have anything to do in free time, she replied. Kakashi gave a nod. Naruto? I have my food scroll, which holds plenty of food. I have my explosive clay ready. I have some weapons and a couple extra sets of clothing, and a basic first aid kit. I think that's all the important stuff. Alright, well, it's time to set off, Kakashi said with a nice smile as they situated themselves around Tazuna. The 4 ninja and 1 civilian began the long walk towards Wave Country. Naruto sighed. After a few hours he was bored. Sure, it was interesting finally going on a mission that wasn't a chore, but realistically he knew that there was a low chance of anything happening. Though that would be considered a good thing in the books of ninja everywhere, a boring mission is a safe mission after all. The day passed and they set up camp. Madara and Hashirama were whispering to each other about something. They went oddly silent when Naruto raised an eyebrow at them. Idly wondering what the two were planning, he shrugged it off as non-important and went to sleep. He would have middle watch. The next day they continued on their journey. Sensei, does Wave have ninja? Sakura asked. No, they don't, Kakashi answered, idly flipping through his book. Sakura frowned. Some other countries have different customs and traditions, and they have ninja as well. There are a few minor villages, but there are 5 major hidden villages in each of the great nations. Here in Fire Country we have Konohagakure, in Wind Country they have Sunagakure, In lightning they have Kumogakure, in water country they have the Kirigakure, and finally in earth country they have Iwagakure. Kakashi continued looking up from his book. In each of these countries only the strongest are allowed to wear the title of Shadow. We have the Hokage, then the leader of Suna is the Kazekage, lightning has the Reikage, water has the Mizukage, and earth has the Tsuchikage. These 5 are known as the most powerful. Naruto's mind flashed back to Inoki complaining about his back, and to his Jiji being a pervert. It was surely true that the older the ninja was, the more knowledge and power they had. He looked to see Sakura frown. The old man is that powerful? She questioned. Don't doubt him. Kakashi rebuked her. The older the ninja is, the more powerful they are, that's the rule of thumb anyways. There are some exceptions to that, of course, Kakashi said. The group fell silent as they thought over that. Kaka-sensei, isn't Aji-san older than Jiji? He asked, wondering which of the two was more powerful. I guess he is, though those two are relatively close in terms of power. He answered. Naruto hummed, thinking about the two old men. They continued walking. A few hours passed by. I sensed 2 people further up ahead, ninjas of some sort. Hashirama warned. Naruto gave a slight nod and fell back to walk next to Kakashi. He quickly signed to Kakashi what Hashirama had told him. Play along, Kakashi signed back to him. Naruto just nodded and went back to his position. Soon they walked past a puddle and they turned as they heard a noise only to see Kakashi ripped apart. Naruto gave a slow blink, so that's what Kakashi meant. He felt the 2 enemies get behind him. Quickly he jumped away, turning as he jumped away he reached into his pouch and pulled out some of his smaller explosions. Sasuke was frozen for a moment before he moved, and with expert precision he tossed out his weapons, the wire wrapping around the 2 attackers before they could notice. Good job, my cute little genin, Kakashi said with an eye grin as he reappeared unharmed. He went to the 2 trapped ninjas and dear-med them of their weapons. Now I wonder what a couple chunin ninja like you are doing on this road? He mused, looking at the 2 captives. Naruto, you have been learning from Ibiki, Kakashi said with a small grin as the 2 chunin looked decidedly more nervous. You don't mean Ibiki Marino? Konoha's mind breaker, do you? One of them whimpered. Of course, I'm sure that Naruto wouldn't mind an opportunity to utilize what he's learned from Ibiki, Kakashi said with a sadistic eye smile. Would you, Naruto? Naruto paused, wondering what Kakashi meant before he realized that he still wanted Naruto to play along. So Naruto used the intimidation aura as he looked at the 2 chunin, eyeing them like a piece of meat. Of course not, Ibiki-sensei has been wanting me to get some more practice in, he said calmly. The 2 swallowed. We'll spill. Just don't let him torture us, one of them called out. The other nodded frantically. Such was the terror even the mention Ibiki's name could cause, and learning that Naruto was his apprentice. Well, the 2 chunin certainly weren't willing to find out just how much the boy had been taught. Madara was laughing amused as Naruto just gave a small sigh as the 2 chunin started rambling on about their plans and stuff. Well, it seems that this mission no longer qualifies as a C-rank mission. Please! You have to help us. Wave is slowly being constricted and Gato is killing us. Tazuna started ranting. We're going to help Wave, Hashirama said and started walking. Naruto just shrugged and continued walking along the road towards Wave. Hashirama was walking ahead of him, a determined expression on his face. Madara just sighed. Stupid soft-hearted fool, he grumbled. It took a few minutes, but eventually his team caught up on him. Naruto! What are you doing? Sakura asked. Continuing the mission, he said with a shrug. But Dash, it is our duty as a ninja to complete the mission. Just because it becomes more difficult than expected, are you going to give up? Because if that's the case, you might as well give up being a ninja right now, he told her. Our orders were to protect Tazuna, and that is what we will do. But we could die. We can't face off against stronger ninjas, she protested. Naruto frowned as he turned to her. Then why are you a ninja? Huh? What do you mean? To be a ninja means to die doing your duty. If I die on this mission, then I did my job as a ninja. If I live, then I will continue on to the next mission. It is our duty as ninja to complete missions assigned to us at the risk of our own lives, he told her. If it was one thing he learned being able to see shimmers, it was that many ninja died young. Only a rare group made it to 40. That was why ninjas dated at a younger age, and part of the reason their romances never tended to work out. Sakura looked shocked as she took in what he said, before scoffing. What would you know, you're just a dead last, she stated in denial. He shrugged. If you want to go back to Konoha, you can tell Gigi that this mission has increased rank. But I'm continuing. The Dobe is right, our mission is to protect Tazuna. Sasuke grunted. Sakura looked at Sasuke before she bit her lip. Okay then, we protect Tazuna. What are you guys waiting for? Kakashi asked with an eye grin from ahead of them. So the three continued their journey eventually after another day of walking, coming to the part where they would have to ride across a small boat in order to get to Wave, where they would continue on to Tazuna's house. But first they had to get across the misty water. Finally safely across from the long slow boat ride, Naruto absently pulled out one of his explosive marbles and played with it. Naruto, what grade is that? Kakashi asked. Naruto looked more closely at the marble. He noticed now that it was black to his vision. This, just my triple L bomb. It's fun. Not as big as a T4 will be, but I haven't gotten a chance to test the T4s. Naruto said, a happy pyromaniac grin on his face. His two teammates sent him odd looks. As they reached land, the mist became thicker and thicker. This mist is not natural, Madara stated, his Sharingan activated. Naruto sent a glance towards him. It is most likely a jutsu, he further explained. They continued walking on. Everyone down! Kakashi shouted, tackling Tazuna to the ground even as the genin ducked. They quickly got up and surrounded Tazuna, even as they looked up to where a large sword had hit a tree and a man stood on top of the sword. This man had bandages wrapped around his mouth and down his neck, short spiky brown hair with his headband wrapped sideways. He had black muscle shirt and black pants that ended underneath what looked like striped leg warmers that were connected to his sandals. Hand over the bridge, builder, and I won't kill you all, the man said, looking down at them. He started seeming more intimidating and scary. Naruto focused on his will to protect and pushed out his own aura of protection. It wasn't anywhere as good as Hashirama, who seemed to exude the aura naturally, but it helped to calm his two teammates. Such a cheap trick like that won't help you, Naruto said, staring up at the man. Hey, I'm surprised one of your brats is able to utilize the manipulating chakra trick, the man commented. Interesting, but unfortunately for you brats, it's time for you to die. The man in front of them ran towards them in a blur. Naruto quickly blocked the man's large sword with his gun by his arms, protested as the man bared down on him. The man had attacked them head on. The man gave a chilling laugh. Really, you truly do have an interesting brat here, copycat Kakashi. Kakashi gave an eye grin. He is truly one of a kind, demon of the mist, Zabuza. I won't let you hurt any of my brats. Team, protect Tazuna. The three genin gave a nod. Zabuza gave a chuckle and the mist thickened around them even more. 8 spots, the larynx, the spine, the lungs, the liver, the jugular, the subclavian veins, the kidney, and the heart. Which vulnerable spot should I pick for each of you? Naruto felt Kakashi pulse his chakra out, blasting the mist away, letting them see the battlefield. Zabuza smirked as he once again vanished from the sight of Sasuke and Sakura, though Naruto saw him using a jutsu. Suddenly he reappeared in between all of them. Kakashi arrived a split second later, thrusting a kunai into Zabuza. The three watched as water bled out of Zabuza and another Zabuza appeared behind Kakashi. In a manner similar to leapfrog, the two kept stabbing and bleeding water until Kakashi held Zabuza at kunai point to his throat. It's over, Kakashi stated. Zabuza smirked and Kakashi glanced behind him just in time to see yet another Zabuza bearing down on him. Kakashi jerked the kunai and ducked down, avoiding getting cut in half from the giant sword Zabuza wielded. The two continued their fight. It ended when Zabuza managed to capture their sensei in a ball of water. While you were distracted with the fight, I was using these bugs as they should be. All you have to do is command them to drain his chakra, Kurama stated in his mind. Naruto smirked and silently thanked the Biju as he sent the command to the Bikachu to drain Zabuza's chakra. What? The man muttered. You should be feeling the drain, Naruto commented flatly as he slightly mimicked his friend Shino. Why? Because I'm an honorary Aburame. He ended this with an arrogant smirk that was pure Madara. Zabuza growled at him as the prison wavered and fell. Suddenly a Samban came out of the trees and pierced the man in the neck. Thank you for weakening him. I will take care of it from here, a mysterious person in a mask said as they dropped down, grabbed Zabuza and fled. Naruto's eyes widened as he remembered a bit of information from his training with the Umbu. Hunter Nin dissected their victim on the spot of their death. The four continued on their journey to Tazuna's house, Kakashi needing a bit of help as he was exhausted, though he wasn't completely to the point of chakra exhaustion. Chapter 35. They arrived at Tezuna's house, and after a reunion between Tezuna and his family, Kakashi gathered them for a team meeting. "Alright, we're going to have to train hard over the next few days," he stated. "Why, sensei?" Sakura asked. "Other than the fact that you're a weak piece of fandral trash?" Madara questioned with a snort. "Hush you!" Hashirama said scoldingly. Madara just stuck his tongue out at the man, an immature action he and Naruto tended to do a lot. "Well, you see, Zabuza is most likely still alive," Kakashi said with a shrug. "He is?" Sasuke questioned, his eyes narrowed. "Yes, you see, hunter ninja are supposed to dissect their targets on the spot, regardless of enemy ninja. But wouldn't the enemy ninja try and kill them?" Sakura asked with a frown. Kakashi looked at her. "Possibly, but hunter ninjas are some of the most elite ANBU, that, and there is a general agreement among villages that if a hunter ninja shows up, then they are allowed to deal with the body. Should we go see if we can find where they went to?" Hashirama asked. Madara shrugged. "I suppose we could, but where's the fun in that?" Hashirama rolled his eyes. "It would be safer if we could keep Naruto-chan and his team updated on the progress of that swordsman recovery. If you want to go find, I will keep an eye on Naruto then," Madara stated, crossing his arms. "Alright, I'll be back in a little bit," Hashirama said with a smile as he waved goodbye and walked out of the wall. "Hashi-chan has gone to find Zabuza's location and keep tabs on him." Naruto subtly signed to Kakashi. "Alright, keep me updated." Kakashi signed back. Tezuna's daughter cooked them dinner, and the group happily ate the food. They noticed that she took a dish upstairs, and when she came back down she no longer had it. Seeing the questioning glances, she told them that her son, Inari, wasn't feeling well. After dinner she led them to their rooms, where Kakashi, Sasuke, and Naruto would share a room, and Sakura would have a room to herself. "Set up a patrol schedule, Naruto, and put me for last shift. I'm going to sleep now," Kakashi ordered before collapsing onto the bed. Within seconds he was asleep. "Sasuke, you will have first shift with Sakura. Set up a perimeter of 1,000 feet around the house. 3-hour shifts," Naruto stated. "And why should I listen to you, dope?" Sasuke asked with a sneer. "Because Kaka-sensei literally just told me to do it, and so I am," Naruto replied, giving the boy a flat look. "Why do I have to be on a patrol shift with the fangirl?" "Because no one should patrol alone. I have Kurama to patrol with me, meaning that leaves you to pair up with Sakura. Now get going." Sasuke huffed but left. The night passed with no incident, and the next morning they woke up to Tsunami having cooked a nice breakfast. During breakfast, Hashirama returned and reported that Zabuza would be out of action for a week, and that the hunter Nin was indeed his accomplice. Naruto reported this to Kakashi, who gave a small nod. "Alright, my cute little genin, we will begin training now. Let's see. Sakura, your stamina is still weak, so I want you to practice tree walking until your chakra reserves are empty. Rest for 10 minutes and then go again." Sakura nodded and went to start her training. "Sasuke, you need to work on chakra control, so you will be doing the water walking exercise. Like the tree walking, only you have to constantly adjust the flow of chakra to prevent from sinking in." Sasuke nodded and went off. "Naruto, you were using your gunbai to defend, but how much experience do you have actually using it?" "I have never spared with it before." "Alright, me and you are going to spar then. I will use my tanto." The two fought, Naruto getting used to actually using the gunbai to block against blows. Madara gave him tips on how to better block, and Hashirama told him things to tell Kakashi about the way he was wielding his sword. Apparently Hashirama used a ton of different swords. Kakashi and Naruto spared each other at Chunin speed. Around the lunch the two took a break and went to go see how the other two members of Team 7 were doing and pause for lunch. Sakura was on the ground exhausted, and it took her a few minutes to even get up to walk with them. They found Sasuke soaking wet and glaring at the water with his Sharingan blazing. "Looks like you haven't made any progress, team," Naruto taunted. "Oh yeah, like you can do this," the boy retorted angrily. Naruto walked out onto the water with a smirk as he crossed his arms. "You were saying? Why must you take after Dara-chan so much?" Hashirama complained once again. A large fireball went towards Hashirama, who ducked. "Do not call me Dara-chan!" Madara shouted. "Naya! Dara-chan, Dara-chan, Dara-chan!" Hashirama shouted, sticking his tongue out. "Hashirama!" Madara bellowed. The first Hokage laughed, and the two started sparring, Hashirama continuously calling Madara Darachan. Naruto! Kakashi called out. He blinked and looked over to where the team was staring at him. Sorry! I was remembering something. Anything important? Kakashi asked. Nah, just amusing, he replied, grinning. The four of them ate lunch, and then went back to training. The only difference was that Kakashi wanted Sakura to run laps around the house until she collapsed. They went back to sparring and improving. That night they ate dinner and met Tsunami's son, who told them they were all going to die. Really? We are? I didn't know you were a prophet. Tsunami-san! Why didn't you tell us your son was a prophet? Naruto asked, giving a grin similar to Hashirama. Inari promptly ran off. Was it something I said? Naruto asked. Baka! Sakura shouted and tried to punch him. He easily dodged. Man, you're violent, Sakura. Maybe the pink-haired thing should study medical jutsu, like that female teammate that super pervert likes to talk about. Kurama stated as he formed himself. Tsunami gave a startled yelp and Tazuna stared in shock. That's not a bad idea. Kakashi muttered, a thinking expression on his face. My ideas are always wonderful. The fox retorted. I'm going hunting. I'll be back in an hour or so, he said as he walked out of the house, using the doggy door to escape. Don't kill anyone, Naruto said flippantly. No guarantees, was the faint reply they heard. Kakashi frowned. Is it a good idea to let him wander around like that? Naruto shrugged. Kurama will be fine. The white-haired teacher gave him a flat look. That wasn't what I was talking about, and you know it. Kurama wanders around Konoha all the time. Besides for a few heart attacks and some mild seizures, I don't think he's caused any real harm. You let him wander around Konoha? Yeah, he mostly keeps to the shadows, Naruto replied with a shrug. Kakashi twitched. What's the big deal about letting him wander around? What is he anyways? You never really gave an explanation, Sakura asked. I'm not telling you to, Naruto replied. He didn't trust them. Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked, looking at the teacher. Sorry, I can't tell you, he said with a nice smile. Why won't you tell us? Sasuke asked with a scowl at Kakashi. Did you say something? Kakashi asked, looking up from his book. Sasuke turned to glare at Naruto. With his Sharingan in his eyes, some people might call it intimidating. Tell me what that thing is, the boy demanded to Naruto, though who had seen Madara glaring at people. It was nothing. He wasn't going to say anything, but then Sasuke had called Kurama a thing, and that pissed him off, so Naruto snorted. Listen, Uchiha, not everything revolves around you, and I am really sick of your attitude. You must have taken after your brother or something, because I know your father is a nicer man than you are, Naruto said scathingly. He was tired of Sasuke acting like he was the best just because he graduated at the top of his class. Just because he was a Uchiha. He knew that Sasuke often tried to spy on team training grounds in order to copy and steal their work. Don't you dare compare me to that man, Sasuke yelled. Or what? Naruto questioned. Or I'll beat some sense into you, Sasuke growled. You can try, Naruto retorted. No fighting inside, Kakashi said as Sasuke tried to leap across the table. Sakura glanced between the two, as Naruto calmly got up and walked outside and as Sasuke angrily stormed after him. She got up to follow them, but Kakashi shook his head at her. Don't, with how angry Sasuke is, he will probably use the fire jutsus he knows. You could get hurt if you follow them, he told her. But sensei, won't Naruto get hurt? He's the dead last. Kakashi looked at her and put his book down. You shouldn't think that the rankings in the academy mean anything. Naruto was the dead last because the academy was boring and he never bothered with the assignments. Out of the three of you, Naruto is the strongest, and even if he learned nothing new, he could be stronger than me. All he lacks is experience. Sakura frowned. What do you mean? Well, Naruto has been training in various things since he was young. He knows a lot of different information and various jutsus and taijutsu stances. He could have been a genin years ago if he decided to take an early graduation. If he had, he may even already be a jounin himself. But he decided to keep training, which while good has limited the experience he can gather. See, being a shinobi isn't just knowing a bunch of jutsus, it's knowing how to use what you know in a fight. That's why as a genin you're limited to D ranks and C ranks. D ranks won't ever have fighting with another person, instead you have to learn how to deal with taking orders from a civilian. And as you found out, they can be really annoying. Sakura gave a nod to this. C ranks are meant to get you experience in a safer manner. Generally, the only threat you're supposed to face is bandits. Of course, like with our mission, it is possible for things to go wrong. Once you are Chunin, then you have the responsibility of looking after your team members and leading them. You will have to make decisions that could cost you your fellow shinobi lives if something goes wrong, or if you make the wrong decision. When you're a Chunin, you tend to take more C-rank missions, and if you're lucky, you will be paired with a Jounin or two to go on a B-rank mission. Once you're a Jounin, you will take B-ranks and A-rank missions. By this point, you have the experience, and you know how to lead and what to do if situations go wrong. Most ninja will only become Chunin. At that point, the weight of their decisions may break them, and they will quit being a ninja. Is being a ninja really so dangerous? Sakura asked. Yes. As Naruto said, it is our duty to complete missions, and if we die doing our mission, then we did our job. Ninjas aren't expected to live long lives. Most ninja never make it past 25. Sakura, though, over what she heard, was she strong enough to become a ninja? She knew she was the physically weakest amongst their team, and she had never really put much effort into the academy, only learning what was needed to pass. Her parents had warned her, but she didn't believe them. She was starting to realize that even with the academy changes, they were still sheltered from the truth of the shinobi world. Sakura didn't think she would ever be strong like Sasuke-kun or even Naruto. The boy seemed to know what being a ninja truly was, and he was ready to face it. She had never given much thought about the look in his eyes, but while he was often smiling or happy, sometimes she could see a hard look in them. Naruto was determined to succeed, Sakura realized. Chapter 36. Naruto. He and Sasuke finally arrived at an area far enough away from the house. Without saying anything, Sasuke's Sharingan activated and he started to form hand seals. Naruto recognized them for the Great Fireball. Forming a single hand seal, he put up a water wall before Sasuke even finished his last seal. Steam filled the area. That took care of Sasuke's vision range. He created an IWA bunshin and then hid himself in a tree. The steam finally dissipated and Naruto saw that Sasuke was finishing up a hand seal sequence. His clone dodged the spread of small fireballs. "Is that all you got, team?" his clone taunted. Sasuke charged at his clone, beginning a taijutsu match. Naruto watched in amusement as even against his clone Sasuke seemed to be struggling. Of course, his clone was moving at Chunin speeds. And despite the fact the Sharingan was able to see him, he was unable to react fast enough. "I'll look at you, trying to act all angry. You look so pitiful," his clone sneered. "Being a bit harsh, aren't you, Naruto-chan?" Hashirama asked from next to him. "Maybe, but he needs to learn that just because he has the Sharingan it doesn't mean that he is invincible. Besides, I'm tired of him looking down on me just cause I never bothered in the academy," Naruto responded. "I think he deserves it," Madara told them. "Why?" "He is constantly bellying everyone else and is further bringing shame to the clan." "Hashi-chan, what do you think Sasuke will do if Orochimaru does find a way into the Chunin exams? You know that the Snake Sannin plans on offering him power," Naruto whispered. Hashirama paused. "I'm not sure. I want to say that he wouldn't accept." He trailed off, a sad look on his face. "You don't think he will say no for sure?" Madara stated. Hashirama shook his head. The three watched as his clone took Sasuke down with taijutsu. Sasuke stood back up, glaring. Naruto sighed and jumped down from the tree, dismissing the clone. Sasuke stared in shock. "I was the dead last because the academy bore me. I won't have you thinking I'm weak. I won't stand for you insulting my dreams. And I definitely won't stand for you trying to demand answers out of me. Also, never refer to Kurama as a thing again. He is my friend, and I won't stand for you talking about him like that." Naruto growled out. "If I see you using anything I do, without asking for my permission, because you stole them with your eyes, I will seal away your Sharingan." He left Sasuke standing there staring at him. The rest of the week passed with Hashirama checking on Zabuza, and them training. Finally, as the end of the week drew to a close, Hashirama reported that Zabuza would be attacking the bridge in the morning. Naruto informed Kakashi and the man cut their training off early. "Why are you stopping our training?" Sasuke asked. "I believe Zabuza will be attacking the bridge. We will need to be fully rested for tomorrow. Sakura, I want you to stay here with Tazuna and his family. Naruto, you will create a couple clones and have them henge into the bridge builder and Sakura tomorrow morning." "All right." Naruto agreed with a nod. They ate dinner, and then they fell asleep. Waking up the next morning, they went about their plan. They left heading towards the bridge. They arrived to see a few workers who had arrived early were dead. Standing there waiting for them was Zabuza and his accomplice. Kakashi of the Sharingan, or do you prefer friend killer Kakashi? Zabuza asked. I prefer Sharingan Kakashi, their sensei said lightly, but Naruto could see that he had tensed up a bit. Zabuza just looked at them. I did a bit of research on your team. Besides for you, your team consists of the last Uchiha, which I suppose the brat should have a bit of strength. Naruto noticed that Sasuke both seemed proud and angry at that. But then you also have solid hand Naruto, Slayer of the Wicked Eyes. You aren't in the bingo book, but you are in the red alert, the man commented looking at him. Sasuke seemed confused as he heard this. Yeah, I will be in the bingo book soon enough, I'm sure. Naruto stated with a deadpan. Zabuza chuckled. With the legacy of being the son of not only the red hot habanero, but also the yellow flash, I suspect that if you live past today you might indeed make it to the bingo books. Red hot habanero? Yellow flash? Sasuke muttered to himself quietly. Haku, take care of the brats, I'll take Kakashi myself. The false hunter Nin attacked them and they defended themselves. Haku managed to trap them in a dome of ice mirrors. Naruto looked around. Interesting, you have the Yuki bloodline. He commented. Yes, I do. He saw Sasuke use a fire jutsu. A weak fire like that won't do anything. The false hunter commented. Naruto frowned a bit. They were on the bridge, so his explosions were out, plus it was to close quarters. Absent-mindedly he started dodging the needles Haku threw at them. Sasuke also started dodging them, his Sharingan flickering side to side. Is this all you can do? Naruto asked as he dodged more needles. This is all I need to do. I do not want to kill you. Naruto deactivated his weights. With a flash of speed he punched Haku as the boy jumped across to another mirror. The mask cracked and fell off. Naruto frowned at the young boy staring at him with wide eyes. Please kill me, the boy said looking at the ground. What? Why? Naruto asked, thrown of course from where he had been about to tie the boy up. I am no longer useful to my master. What just caused you lost? Naruto asked as Sasuke came to stand next to him. Yes. Naruto was about to say something when Hashirama looked up. There is a lot of people at the end of the bridge. Making a hand seal, he used their bullets to clear away the mist. They saw Kakashi standing there with a Chidori in his hand, and Zabuza trapped by a bunch of dogs. Beyond them though stood a large group of mercenaries, and at the front was a short squat man in a business suit. Gato! What is the meaning of this? Zabuza questioned looking at the man. The businessman then revealed his plan to kill them all and betray Zabuza since he was so expensive. Well then, Sharingan Kakashi, looks like we are no longer enemies, Zabuza said, and Kakashi released him. Haku, stop laying around and prepare yourself. Yes, Zabuza-sama, the boy said. Naruto, use AT1, Kakashi commanded. Without question he pulled out the marble and threw it. He noticed that they were about 300 feet away from the mercenaries. Katsu, Naruto said, a pyromaniac grin stretching across his face. A second later and boom! The bridge shuddered a bit as the end of it was destroyed, taking with it the majority of the mercenaries being completely vaporized and others with major burns. Kurama formed himself and said, Bravo! Bravo! More! Please! Everyone stared at the fox and Kakashi facebombed. What? Kurama questioned looking confused. It's nothing, they just aren't used to you being like a kid with a sugar high when it comes to anything destructive. Anyways, there won't be any more explosions. The fox just nodded and dismissed himself. Kakashi and the two boys looked at the badly wounded Zabuza and Haku. Nice meeting you, but we will be taking our leave now. Our business is done, Zabuza stated. Kakashi just nodded. Zabuza, the civil war in Kiri ended about recently, the rebellion won, he stated. Zabuza looked at them. Really? Yes, Meitarumi I believe is trying to get enough support to be Godame Mizukage. Zabuza paused. How recently are you talking about? Kakashi gave a nice smile. A month or two ago. Damn, I had heard Konoha's spy network had upped its game, but that's impressive, he muttered. Anyways, enough chit-chat, we're out of here, Zabuza said, and with a swirl of water the two of them disappeared in a shunshin. Are we really just letting them go? Sasuke asked. Of course, we are not at war with Kiri, and the Godane Mizukage has been putting out a couple of ninjas to look for the 7 swordsmen who might be willing to rejoin Kiri, or if they are unwilling to rejoin, then they will be hunted down for their swords. This of course all very hush-hush as the Mizukage isn't trying to bring attention to Kiri right now. Kakashi answered. Now, let's get back to Sakura and the others and fix this bridge up. They went back to the house and found it to be a mess. Items were broken and there was blood on the ground. On the ground was 2 unfamiliar corpses. They heard the sound of sobbing and cautiously went towards the sound. They saw Sakura crying and being held by Tsunami, and Inari was hugging Tazuna, who was watching them as if he wasn't sure what he should do. What happened? We were attacked by those 2 thugs. They were planning on kidnapping me. But then they saw that father was here and they tried to kill him. Sakura here managed to stop them. Tsunami answered quietly. Good job, Sakura, Kakashi said, going over to her. I know it's tough. The girl just sobbed. The day passed quietly with Kakashi letting Sakura cry until she passed out. He placed her into the room in order to sleep away what she had done. The next day they got to work on rebuilding the bit of bridge that blew up. 2 weeks passed with them guarding Tazuna while he finished the bridge. Finally it was done and they left. Behind them the bridge was named the Great Team 7 Bridge. As they went back to Konoha, Naruto was starting to become more anxious as it got closer and closer to December 5th. Even though the tournament didn't start till the 12th, he liked having plenty of time to get there. They came back to Konoha on December 6th around later evening. Let's go report to the Hokage. Can't we wait till tomorrow? I'm tired. Kakashi shook his head at her. We're going now, Sakura. They made their way over to the office and gave their report. Tobirama and the Hokage were both giving displeased looks. We'll just be going now, Hashirama said with a sweat drop as he started backing away. And where do you think you're going, Hashirama? Tobirama asked. Away? Hashirama answered with a squeak, a guilty expression on his face. Tobirama then started to give Hashirama a tongue lashing. When Madara tried to sneak out, Tobirama turned to him. And you, Madara? I expected something like this from Hashirama, but you went along with it. Naruto was ignoring the tongue lashing his Gigi was giving Kakashi, which was somehow even worse than the one Tobirama was giving. Naruto tried to blend into the floor and he noticed that Sasuke and Sakura were staring at their embarrassed sensei with wide-eyed looks. And you, Naruto? Tobirama said, turning to him. He gulped and looked up at the expression on Tobirama's face. How could you be so irresponsible? You know that as soon as the client lies about the perimeters of the mission, you are no longer required to continue the mission, yet you continued on endangering your teammates. What would have happened had you dealt with an enemy that actually wanted to kill you and your teammates? Naruto looked down at the ground. He knew that they had gotten lucky that Zabuza didn't actually care to kill them, and instead was only trying to kill Tazuna. Tobirama continued ranting at the 3 of them. Hashirama was by this point on the floor with depression clouds over him. Madara wasn't looking Tobirama in the eyes. And Naruto was trying to disappear by standing still. He noticed that his teammates were sending him odd looks. And he could guess why. Both he and Kakashi had the same being chastised expression on their faces. Yes, brother. Hashirama answered as Tobirama asked him if he understood. Do you understand me, Madara? Tobirama questioned with narrowed eyes. Yes. Madara answered as he crossed his arms. Yes, Hokage-sama, Kakashi said despondently. Tobirama turned to him. Now I know that you're going on your vacation, Naruto, the 3rd said. Naruto turned to him, grateful to have an excuse to ignore Tobirama. I am tempted to prevent you from leaving on your vacation, but I suspect that if I did that you would find some way to go anyways. So instead, as punishment, the rest of your team is assigned to go with you, Gigi told him with a vindictive look. But dash! Naruto immediately tried to protest. He didn't want Sasuke or Sakura to come with him. It's either take the rest of your team with you, or don't go on your vacation at all, the Hokage told him. Fine. I guess they are to be my guards then? Naruto questioned. He ignored Tobirama as the ghost put a hand on his shoulder and was giving Hashirama a disapproving face. Yes, the Hokage answered and dismissed them. Come on, time to get going. What are you talking about, Naruto? Sakura asked, confused. I am currently your client. You will be guarding me as we get to IWA by the 11th. Naruto told them and headed out, leaving the rest of them to catch up to him. As soon as they got to the gate, Naruto took off at high speeds. Chapter 37. Your teammates are going to be left behind at this rate. Madara commented. If we go at their slow speed, we won't make it in time. They can consider this training, Naruto replied with a small smirk. He was already far enough ahead that they wouldn't hear him. Madara just snorted in amusement. Hashirama sighed. At least we won't have to deal with Tobirama's disapproving looks for a little while. Naruto shuddered as a cold feeling passed through him and Tobirama appeared. Eep! Hashirama shouted. Madara twitched. What are you doing here, Tobirama-sensei? Naruto asked hesitantly. I decided that to make sure you three don't do anything foolish, I will be coming along with you. How did you even get here? Tobirama looked smug and pointed to where he had put his hand on Naruto's shoulder. There on his shoulder was a Hiraishin tag. You can Hiraishin as a spirit? Naruto asked. So it seems. Tobirama glanced behind them where off in the distance the rest of Team 7 was lagging behind. Any reason you are moving faster than your team? Training them to move faster. Plus I need to get to the tournament on time. Tobirama just sighed. A few hours later, and he noticed Kakashi caught up with him, carrying an exhausted-looking Sasuke and Sakura with him. Took you long enough, Kaka-sensei. Naruto teased with a grin. These two denied my offer, saying that they would catch up to you. Naruto snorted. What's that mark on your shoulder? Sakura asked. He blinked. What mark? There was no way she was able to see the Hiraishin mark, was there? Kakashi looked at his shoulder, and his eyes widened slightly. Sakura pointed to the Hiraishin mark. Naruto faked looking surprise. You can see that? Heh. I thought I did that in invisible ink. Must have grabbed the wrong bottle somehow. He said, looking at Kakashi, who seemed to realize what he was trying to convey. So what is that seal? Sakura asked after a few minutes had passed and Naruto hadn't said anything. None of your business, Naruto replied. Sakura gave a huff. You never answer our questions. Naruto frowned, trying to ignore her, but he knew that Sakura was smart enough to recognize the seal, since Tobirama's Hiraishin was in the history books, along with Minato's. She did have what seemed to be a photographic memory. He saw her trying to get a better look at it, a puzzled look on her face as if trying to remember something. I have to go to the restroom, I'll be back in a minute. With that he detoured into the forest, and as soon as he was out of eyesight of his teammates he pulled out his sealing supplies and drew a storage seal on it, praying that the two seals didn't react negatively to each other. Seals weren't meant to be put on top of each other like he was doing, but this the only way he could think to disguise it on quick notice. Finishing the seal, he did in fact go to the bathroom before heading back to his teammates. Though as he started to walk back he frowned. Sakura will probably notice the difference, but it should throw her off. Sasuke hasn't said anything much yet, which was a bit worrying. The prick seemed to become different after the fight the two of them had. Thinking back to the mission that had gotten him into this mess in the first place, he wondered how Sakura had handled her first kill. It had to be tough. Even Naruto hadn't made his first kill yet, though he knew that at some point he would have to as a ninja. He made it back to his team and they continued on towards IWA. Though as he occasionally glanced towards the people he considered his family, he noticed that Tobirama seemed to be smirking at Madara and Hashirama every chance he got. After an hour of watching this, Naruto asked, "What are you so smug about?" "My Hiraishin still works, at least for you. I have of course tried normal surfaces and people, but it seems it only works on us spirits and you." Naruto pursed his lips together. This ability was getting stronger, and he wasn't entirely sure why. If it really had been because he had received Madara's eyes, then how was that affecting his other senses, and how he was able to interact with spirits? Even the filth had an effect on him, more than they would affect a normal person. Normal people weren't able to feel them at all, and the filth were only a real harm to the spirits, unless of course one gets strong enough to possess a human, which Naruto heard happened on occasion if it managed to stay alive long enough. He ignored Sakura as she continued trying to ask questions. He put on Uchiha expression number 4, "I'm not going to answer your questions, so just shut up." She finally stopped pestering him after a few hours. Finally the fangirl shut up. Madara smirked as he added, "Ibiki could probably use her as a new means of torture." Naruto nearly snickered in response. Hashirama sighed, and Tobirama glared. "You really shouldn't talk about Naruto's teammates like that." Madara scowled. "Why should I not say what I think? Besides, you know it is true. You are just too much of a stickler to say it yourself." "I am not a stickler. I just know better than to make comments that are rude and derogatory, especially when you are standing right next to the person you are talking about." Madara crossed his arms as he responded. "The fangirl cannot even hear me." If I want to speak about how she is just a piece of trash, I will. Tobirama stared at Madara, his eyes narrowed into slits, and Naruto and Hashirama both started trying to edge away, which was a lot harder to do when you were running towards a destination. It was easy to tell what was coming, and the duo didn't want to be caught up in the argument. Just because she cannot hear you does not mean you have the right to speak down about her like that. She is one of Konoha's ninja. She should be given the same respect that all ninjas deserve. Madara smirked. But I am giving her the same respect I give all other ninjas except a select few, which is of course absolutely none. You should give our ninjas more respect. It's because of this attitude of yours that no one liked you and everyone thought you were a warmonger. Naruto glanced back and nearly froze as Madara's face turned to stone. With that, he decided now was not the time to be subtle and broke into an outright run. How dare you! Madara seethed. The young ninja knew exactly what Madara was doing as he felt a strange warm wind ruffle his hair, though he knew his hair wasn't actually moving, but he could feel the breeze blowing through his hair. Madara had started casting jutsus. Why did you start moving at a faster speed? Kakashi asked beside him as Sasuke and Sakura held on. Naruto gave him a look. Kakashi's sweat dropped. He knew that look well enough. Oh right, we're behind schedule, Kakashi said with a nice smile. That and the fact we're fleeing for our lives before Tobirama and Madara can drag us into it, Hashirama said with a large sweat drop as the duo continued to hear the sounds of fighting. At least with you guys being spirits, the landscape won't get destroyed, else Konoha would have been destroyed 100 times over. Naruto signed to both Hashirama and Kakashi. Kakashi gave Naruto an amused look. Hashirama gave a nod in agreement. After a couple hours of going at a high speed, the group slowed down to a more reasonable pace, which meant something that Sakura and Sasuke could keep up with. As night fell, the team quickly set up camp and fell asleep after setting up the watch schedule. The next day things were tense, as Tobirama and Madara kept glaring at each other. Well, it was tense for Naruto and Hashirama. Sakura and Sasuke just continued on oblivious. Kakashi at least seemed to realize that something was going on. Why are we going to IWA anyways? Sakura asked, frowning as she said IWA. I'm going on vacation, weren't you listening? Why would you want to go to IWA though? Sasuke finally spoke up. He was scowling as he asked the question. Because I participate in a tournament that takes place there, and I have to go each year in order to keep my spot on the leaderboard, Naruto answered, knowing they would have learned about that information anyways. They didn't need to learn what the tournament was about or anything else. Naruto scowled. He really didn't like the fact that Gigi had forced him to bring his teammates. He didn't trust them at all, especially Sasuke. Which was another thing. The third knew that trusting Sasuke with any sort of valuable information was risky, and while Naruto going to IWA wasn't exactly a secret that could destroy Konoha, it was something that could create difficulties, especially if Sasuke angered the wrong person. And knowing the team as he did, Naruto just knew that something was bound to happen. What place would you have on the leaderboard, and what is the tournament? Sakura asked. That is for me to know and for you to try and find out. Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked, turning to him, who was currently reading Ika and not paying attention to them. Well, he could also be pretending to ignore them. That was an option as well. Naruto rolled his eyes as he noticed Madara standing behind Kakashi, and that Hashirama and Tobirama was sending disapproving looks. Decided that reading would be a good idea, and so opening one of his seals he pulled out the book about blood seals. Looking into the next seal structure for the Hiraishin, which is the start of how the Hiraishin can actually move people, this seal breaks down people into their base molecules. This is paired with a few other seals of course, but for now I will only work on this one and the one to reassemble a person, or animal, or any object this seal is applied to. It wouldn't be smart to test this on myself or another person and find out that I messed up. The first thing I did was check to see if using the seal alone worked. Of course it didn't, and seeing as this is a completely original seal with nothing coming close to being similar that I have found, I will have to figure out how to work it from scratch. I know that the chakra location seal connects to act as a beacon for the molecules once they have traveled. I also found a chakra lock, I suppose as yet another security feature. As I study the seal I can see now that the Nidain was quite paranoid, adding multiple security measures and dead seals. Naruto noticed that several pages seemed to be ripped out before the next page. I have taken time to deconstruct and reconstruct the seal multiple times before I have managed to make it work. It has taken me a month of work, and for safety reasons I have destroyed my thoughts and theories, as if anyone was to discover how to make this seal, who is an enemy to Konoha, the results would not be good. Even with only this part of the Hiraishin seal, they could use it for different purposes. No, now I can see why Tobirama was so paranoid. In fact, I will have to make sure when I am finished to add several decoys and perhaps even make it so the individual seals are layered underneath the disguised seal so that those looking at my seal will have another step to go through. I have no doubt that if the seal had existed when Tobirama had been alive, he would have used it. Once I am done with this, I should make sure it is secured, or destroyed. That was it. As Minato had written, there was no theories, no thoughts on how it can work. At least Naruto could have a side-by-side view of Tobirama's and Minato's. As Naruto looked at them, he realized that this was going to take a lot of time. The seal was complicated, and it had layers and sublayers and what seemed to be seals that were stacked together. Unfortunately, other than think about theories, there wasn't much he could do to work on it at the moment. But at least now he can start on deciphering what was needed and see about rebuilding his own. As the second day of the trip drew to a close, Hashirama sighed in boredom as he had nothing to do. Tobirama was watching the group and smirking as he watched Naruto working on how to figure out his seal. Madara and Kakashi were both reading Ika. Sasuke was glaring at everything, and Sakura was trying to make conversation with no success. It was with this that the group made ready to camp for the second day of their journey. Chapter 38. Sakura's POV. It was their second day of traveling to IWA, and Sakura was thinking about the recent events. First, back in Wave, she had made her first kill. Kakashi hadn't been comforting, offering false promises or lying about it getting easier to deal with. He instead told her that this was what they did as a ninja. He told her that he remembered his first kill and sometimes he still dreamt about it. He told her that as a ninja she would be expected to kill. He told her to think about what that meant and if she really wanted to continue being a ninja. So for the rest of the time they were there in Wave, she was thinking, but she couldn't make up her mind. She wanted to be able to protect her comrades, to be worthwhile. But the idea of killing people was horrible. She didn't want to kill anyone else. She wanted to protect people, to heal them, not hurt them. Which reminded her of what that weird fox that occasionally popped up said, that she should learn medical jutsus. So she decided that when they got back into Konoha she would see about signing up to be a medic. Only when they got back, Naruto seemed to be getting more and more fidgety, and Kakashi decided they were going to report immediately. She had protested, but he seemed adamant about them reporting soon, and she noticed him glancing at Naruto. So they went to the Hokage's office and started to give the report. As Kakashi progressed, the Hokage was sending displeased looks. It was shocking to see their near unflappable sensei suddenly seem embarrassed and ashamed. She glanced at Naruto as she caught him flinching, and his expression shifted to one that matched Kakashi's as he seemingly tried to blend into the floor. It was confusing though. Why would he be doing something like that? Hokage-sama wasn't scolding him. He looked as if he was being chastised, but she couldn't see anyone chastising him. Finally, though, the Hokage seemed to be done scolding their sensei and turned to Naruto. She watched as Naruto shifted his attention to him and seemed to relax a little bit, at least until the Hokage told him his rules for allowing the boy to go on the vacation. This seemed to upset Naruto as he made it clear he didn't want them with him. And then they were immediately heading out again. Straight onto another mission, only this time Naruto was their client. He let them make a brief stop at their home to gather supplies, and then they met up at the gate, and he took off at high speeds, leaving them behind. She and Sasuke ignored Kakashi's offer to carry them to catch up. She didn't know Sasuke's thoughts, but for her she felt as if he was leaving them behind. He had always been the weird dead last, but now Kakashi was telling her that he was the strongest of them. It didn't make sense to her, how he was so strong. The only people she had seen him hang around was that weird bug boy, and the shy Hyuga girl. Eventually, though, she stumbled and fell in exhaustion as she pushed herself to catch up with the boy who was only getting further and further away. Kakashi picked her up and carried her, keeping pace with Sasuke until he collapsed as well. With Kakashi carrying both of them, he picked up his speed and soon caught up with Naruto. The two started bantering, but a mark on Naruto's shoulder caught her attention. She hadn't noticed it before, but it seemed familiar. So she questioned him about it. Then he made some excuse of it being invisible ink, but she suspected he was lying or hiding the truth as he glanced at Kakashi. He was hiding something, and Kakashi-sensei knew what it was. She tried to press him for the answer, but he brushed her off. So instead she decided to try and get a closer look. She felt as if she should know what the seal was. He noticed her looking at it, and made an excuse to go to the restroom. When he came back, the seal was different. He said nothing, and she stopped trying to bug him about it. They continued on at a fast speed, Kakashi carrying the two of them without complaint. But she kept watching Naruto. Another hour or so passed, and he seemed to be thinking about something as his lips went into a thin line. Occasionally she asked him about something she had noticed him doing, but he never answered her. Eventually his face hardened, and she could swear that he looked like a Uchiha in that moment. The face was one she saw on Sasuke whenever she asked him questions that he never answered. So she finally stopped trying to ask questions. It became clear that he didn't want to talk to them, that he didn't trust them. Yet, she continued watching and noticed his eyes glance to the side, and he suddenly seemed amused. A minute later, and he seemed to sweat drop, even though he was still amused. Suddenly he started picking up his speed slightly, and almost seemed to be nervous as he glanced to the side. Another few seconds and he almost seemed wary as he glanced back. She caught a brief expression of panic on his face before he started running even faster, almost looking as if he was running for his life. Kakashi questioned him about why he started moving faster, and Sakura watched him give a stare, as if conveying some hidden meaning. Kakashi chuckled and gave an eye grin as he responded. "Oh right, we're behind schedule." If Sakura hadn't been paying so much attention to Naruto, she would have missed his hands becoming a blur. Blinking, she turned to Kakashi, who suddenly seemed amused. Was Naruto and Kakashi communicating silently? Why not just say it out loud? Finally, after a couple hours, Naruto and Kakashi slowed down to a pace that she and Sasuke could keep up with. Night fell and they had gone to sleep, and the next day she asked why they were going to IWA. She didn't expect an answer if she was honest. Plus, why IWA? The two villages hated each other with a passion. Sasuke finally asked, and Naruto sighed and answered, which made her curious about what sort of tournament that he would have a spot on the leaderboard. Despite what Kakashi said, he wasn't that good of a ninja since he lacked actual experience, at least according to Kakashi. But once again he refused to answer. Kakashi was also ignoring them reading that perverted book of his. Naruto seemed to roll his eyes as he saw Kakashi reading, and he pulled out a book from one of his many seals and ignored all of her attempts to start a conversation. It was as if he didn't hear her. Finally the day came to an end, and Sakura hoped the next day would be better. So begun the next day with the group continuing on, by Kakashi picking them up and moving at high speeds since they apparently were moving too slow. She watched as soon trees started to fade away and more rocks came into view. Then her attention went to Naruto when he pulled an item out of his seal and wrapped it around his arm. It was an IWA headband, but it looked a bit different than a normal one. Confused, she decided to ask about that. "Why do you have an IWA headband, Naruto?" He glanced at her and seemed to be wondering whether to answer or not before he finally sighed. "I am an honorary IWA genin. I have been for a few years." He held a hand stalling her before she could start asking questions. "It basically means that I can come and go in their village without security constantly watching me. I'm not allowed to know any of their important village secrets. Anything a genin could know, I would be allowed to know." "How did you become an honorary IWA ninja?" Naruto seemed to take a moment to remember. "I won a tournament without losing any of the rounds." Sakura blinked. "It must be some tournament then." The blonde-haired boy chuckled. "Oh, it is." She looked over to see Sasuke glaring at Naruto. "So they let anyone participate in the tournament then?" the boy asked, though it sounded a bit demanding. Naruto's somewhat pleasant expression instantly went away as he glared back at Sasuke, his expression colder and more scary than Sasuke's. "Of course not. If you are not an IWA resident, then someone has to sponsor you." "Who would sponsor an idiot like you?" Sasuke scornfully questioned. Sakura glanced worriedly between the two boys. After Naruto had beaten Sasuke, he seemed to become more withdrawn from them, and was constantly glaring at Naruto, as if he blamed the blonde for something. Suddenly Naruto was giving an annoying-looking smirk as he said, "Aji-san sponsored me." "Your uncle is an IWA resident?" Kakashi snorted and glanced at Naruto, as if he was asking something. Naruto just gave a nod. "His uncle isn't just an IWA resident. He is the IWA resident, better known as the Tsuchikage." Her eyes went wide at that information and she blurted out, "But don't you call Hokage-sama your grandfather?" "Yeah, the old man was always there for me, and Aji-san told me to call him that mostly to annoy Gigi," Naruto answered with a shrug. "Oh?" She spoke, not really knowing what to say to that. They were still a couple days out from IWA, but she and Sasuke tensed as they saw a shadow coming in at fast speed straight towards them. Naruto-kun! Sakura was shocked to see the wide grin come across Naruto's face as he gave a happily shouted, "Deidara and I!" In front of them a large white bird landed, and down jumped an older blonde boy who looked surprisingly like Naruto. The two of them hugged and Deidara affectionately ruffled Naruto's hair. "How are you doing? Did you become a genin? Who are these people with you? Have you managed to make AT4? Oh, hello Kakashi." Deidara rambled on a bit. Sakura watched as Naruto grinned. "Yeah, I am now a genin of Konoha. This is my team. Team 7 led underneath Kakashi. The broody boy is Sasuke Uchiha, and the pink-haired girl is Sakura Haruno. I am ready to test out the T4s. Hello Deidara, have you managed to get shape transformation down?" Kakashi asked, glancing up from his book. The blonde boy beamed. "Yeah. Check it out." Then he made a hand sign and the bird started flying up into the air. "Katsu!" The older boy shouted, and Sakura watched in shock as the bird exploded into magnifique-looking blue firebird that seemed to continue flying for a little bit before it seemed to collapse. "So beautiful." Naruto murmured, a happy grin on his face. The two boys grinned at each other, and as one they said, "Art is an explosion." /Databao. She watched as the two laughed and felt a pang of envy. Naruto was their teammate, yet he seemed to get along better with the boy from IWA than either of them. Sasuke seemed to scowl as he snapped out, "Explosions are not art." Naruto seemed to look horrified at this, and Deidara muttered, "Begone, foul demon. What kind of Uchiha are you that you do not like explosions?" Naruto demanded, his posture changing. He seemed taller, more imposing and menacing. His arms were crossed, and he was scowling. She shivered at the look. Sakura didn't understand why, but sometimes Naruto acted like a completely different person. She noticed that Kakashi just seemed to sigh and give a fond look to Naruto. "You're not even a Uchiha. What would you know about my clan?" Sasuke growled out. Naruto just gave an arrogant smirk. "More than you ever will." Sasuke growled and tried to punch Naruto, who easily dodged to the side, looking as if he wasn't putting in any effort. Naruto's face then blanked a bit as he looked down at Sasuke. "You Uchiha always think you are so superior just because of your bloodline." Kakashi shook his head. "Naruto, Sasuke, enough of that." Once again Naruto shifted, beaming happily. "Of course, Kaka-sensei." Sasuke just scowled. Sakura couldn't help but to worry. The more they learned about their blonde teammate, the more the boy seemed to become angry. She wasn't the top kunoichi for no reason. She had noticed that occasionally the boy seemed to get this unhinged look in his eyes. It was worrying, and the more time she spent around the boy, the more negative qualities she could see in him. Like when they had taken a babysitting mission, Sasuke had brushed off and ignored the kid the entire time. He had even insulted the kid, calling him a worthless brat. They would have failed the mission if it hadn't been for Naruto. He seemed to radiate kindness and protection in that moment, and had comforted the boy, making the kid laugh. Still, due to Sasuke's actions, Kakashi saw fit to not give them any more babysitting missions. It had kinda ruined her dreams of him being a wonderful father to their children, but there was still a large part of her that hoped he had just been having a bad day. That when they were older he would be better. He had such a tragic history, with his clan having been murdered. So it only made sense to her that he wouldn't really know how to deal with other people. These were her thoughts as the group continued on to IWA, Deidara now walking alongside them. "Sensei, me and Deidara are going to fly up overhead for a bit," Naruto stated after a couple minutes of the two doing some light chatting. "Alright, keep within sight though." Deidara pulled out a little bird figurine and it grew in size, to the same as the one she had seen earlier. The two boys leapt onto its back and flew overhead. How could Naruto stand to be on it after watching it explode? Wasn't he worried that it would explode with them on it? The rest of the day passed with Naruto and Deidara on the strange bird. They seemed to be chatting about what she couldn't tell. When they stopped to rest for the night, the two boys slept in the same tent as Deidara apparently didn't have one. Tomorrow he said they would just use his birds to get to IWA faster. Apparently because she and Sasuke were so slow, Naruto was seriously behind schedule. Sakura felt so useless. Both Naruto and Sasuke were so strong, and she was so weak. But to Naruto both of them were weak, and he clearly appreciated the IWA Jounin's company more. The next day Sasuke and Kakashi were on one bird, while Naruto and Deidara were on another. Half a day later and their bird dropped down in front of the gates. "Naruto and I will be ahead. I'm sure you can find us, Kakashi," Deidara said with a wave as he and Naruto went right on in. "Why didn't he just let us in as well?" Sakura asked. "We are foreign shinobi, so we have to sign in, and then we will be under constant watch," Kakashi answered as he started filling in some paperwork from the gate guards. "Why was Naruto allowed in then?" "Naruto-sama is always welcomed in IWA," one of the gate guards answered her. "Naruto-sama?" she repeated in disbelief. Even if she was beginning to see that Naruto wasn't the idiot dead last, it was strange to hear someone call him that. The gate guard just smirked, and then they were in. Chapter 39. Naruto grinned and leapt onto the bird with Deidara, and they flew over the rest of his team. Once they were out of speaking range, he turned to Deidara. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," Deidara responded a tad too quickly. "Don't give me that, I know you, and something is bothering you. If you tell me, then maybe I can help?" Deidara gave a huff. "It's Inoki. He never respects my art, and he won't let me use my family's kinjutsu so I can better my abilities. He says I need to expand upon my other skills as a ninja and not focus so much on my art." Naruto paused. "Doesn't the old man have that really destructive dust release?" The young bomber nodded. "Yeah, I've only seen it in action a couple times. It's no explosion, but that kind of destruction has its own beauty to it. Why doesn't the old man accept my work? Have you asked Inoki why he wants you to focus on stuff other than your art?" "No. Maybe if we talk to him we can figure out why he seems to want you to stop focusing on your art. Your explosions are a perfectly acceptable way to fight. And we can see about finding out why he won't let you have your family's kinjutsu." Deidara gave him a small smile. "Naruto, if Inoki doesn't accept the fact that my art is valid..." Deidara trailed off, hesitating. "Yeah?" Naruto gently prodded after a moment. "Do you think I could join you in Konoha?" Naruto was shocked. "Why do you want to leave IWA? Sure, Inoki might not be accepting your art, but what about your other friends and family?" Deidara muttered something too quiet for Naruto to hear, looking embarrassed. "What was that?" "You're my only friend," Deidara repeated slightly louder. "Ah?" Hashirama cooed over the boy. Madara sighed, and Tobirama glared at Hashirama. "My other friends have left me. Because of my art, they don't see the beauty like you do. You're not even able to see the colors, but you still appreciate them more than anyone else. Even my own family thinks I'm too obsessed over my art. They let themselves stagnate, and do not experiment with our bloodline. I have, and they scorn me for it." Of course they weren't laughing after they were defeated. "Over the past few years my family has been dying. There is this guy, someone in a black cloak with red clouds, who has been targeting members of my family. I was barely able to escape with my life. He said that he was after our family's bounty. My own village looks at me with judgment, their eyes. I can't forgive those eyes, how they mock me and my art." Naruto hugged his friend. "Well, if you feel it is absolutely necessary to leave IWA, I won't try and stop you, but well, I've mentioned I plan to be Hokage, and was kinda hoping you would be the next Sachikage." Deidara looked shocked. "Me? As Sachikage? I think most think that Kuratsuchi should be next." "Maybe, but from what I noticed the old man seemed to be preparing you. That was my thoughts anyways. Every time I'm there he always seemed to be paying attention to you. If I had to take a guess, he wants you to focus on stuff other than your art so you can be better suited to protecting the village. Anyways, I was wanting you to beat Sachikage, cause then when we're the leaders we can have peace between our villages." Deidara chuckled. "Imagine the other villages' reactions to ours becoming allies. It would certainly shock them, considering our villages have practically been sworn enemies since their foundations. And whose fault would that be, I wonder?" Tobirama sarcastically mused, giving a pointed glance at Madara. Said man just shrugged, unrepentant. "What are you all doing up there?" a voice called out from below. Naruto blinked at the unfamiliar voice and looked down and saw a man, who was tall and slender. His hair was combed back and was a lighter gray than his small triangular goatee and thin mustache. He wore a long-sleeved, high-collared kimono. When the man jumped up to them and landed on the clade bird, with no reaction from Deidara or anyone else who was living, made it clear that this was a spirit. "Genjutsu Dano," Tobirama greeted with a nod. "Tobirama Dano," the man greeted back with a bit of a smile. "What are you lot doing up here? Especially since you're traveling with the Uchiha." Madara snorted and crossed his arms. "Everyone is a critic. We're traveling to IWA with Naruto-kun here. Hashirama answered the man. Tobirama sighed. Don't you know the meaning of keeping a secret, Aniki? Hashirama pouted. Genjutsu looked at Naruto. What's so special about him? Naruto-kun here can see us, he would say hi, but he's trying to keep that fact secret. Hashirama answered, ignoring the glare Tobirama was giving him. Genjutsu seemed to completely ignore that and said, Well, it isn't like I got anything better to do, especially since that brat Yagura keeps ignoring me. I went back when I heard a new Mizukage had taken over and she ignores me as well. The 3 spurts and 1 living gave a bit of a sweat drop at that. Something going on, Naruto? Nothing important. Just remembering something, Naruto said with a shrug, using his usual excuse when the spurts distracted him. So I was experimenting with a new shape for a bigger clay bomb. Deidara started with a wide grin. I was inspired by Kurama. Oh? Kurama asked, forming himself as he stared at Deidara. Then he looked down and realized he formed himself in thin air. Ah! The fox yelped as he started falling rapidly to the ground. The entire group stared at him as he seconds before he hit the ground. He seemed to remember he was made of bugs and started to fly back up to them. Madara snicked. Shut up, the fox grumbled before asking. So how did my magnificence inspire you? Deidara pulled out a tiny sculpture of a fox with 9 tails. This is just a sculpture right now. I was hoping we can see about using both of our explosive abilities to make the ultimate explosion. It sounds interesting. Sure, we can see about merging both our explosions together. What do you say, Kurama? The fox chuckled. It sounds fun. For some inexplicable reason, Hashirama shuddered and felt a very strong urge to ban the boys from working on it. Sharing a glance with Tobirama, it seemed the man agreed. Madara, though, was cackling. Genjutsu seemed confused. What is with the fox? And why am I getting the sudden urge to flee for my life? That is Kurama, the QB. Madara answered, ignoring the glare Kurama sent him. The 2 boys began to discuss the specifics of how they would merge their explosions together to make the clay QB an awesome attack. Eventually, though, the day ended and they camped together. The next day they put the rest of Team 7 on another clay bird and took off at high speeds to IWA. They left behind Team 7 at the entrance, and they flew straight to the Tsukage Tower. They entered the building through a window, getting an annoyed look from Inoki. Can't you enter through a normal method, brat? He paused and glanced at Naruto. Seems like you're back to try and keep your title. Inoki smirked. This year I will win for sure. Naruto chuckled. Keep telling yourself that, Aji-san. So you finally decided to graduate? Inoki questioned. Yeah, Naruto answered. Not even glancing as he noticed Mu came through the wall. He did start pay a bit of attention though when Genjutsu pointed at him. Mu! Genjutsu shouted. Naruto inwardly shook himself and turned to Deidara, giving him a look to ask Inoki. Mu seemed to sigh. Genjutsu, still eyebrowless, I see. Deidara hesitated briefly, but nodded. Old man, why do you want me to focus on stuff other than my art? How dare you! Bastard! I'll kill you! Genjutsu snarled and attacked Mu. The 2 started fighting. Madara's eye twitched, and he grabbed the 2 and flung them out of the room. Hashirama's sweat dropped, and Tobirama gave him a disapproving look. Madara just crossed his arms. They were being distracting. Inoki finally seemed to finish his thoughts as he started speaking. Deidara, your art is of the least importance at this time. Right now you should be focusing on honing your other skills in order to be better for the village. Deidara, as soon as he heard the words that his art was not important, got angry. You never respect my art, old man. I'll show you. My art is something to be proud of, Before Inoki could say anything else, Deidara stormed out. Naruto sighed and shook his head. That could have gone better. He glanced at Inoki and saw the old man had a sad look in his eyes. I'll see you tomorrow for the tournament, Aji-san, Naruto said before running off after Deidara. He quickly caught up with the boy and walked beside him as they went through the village on their way to the training field. He didn't say anything, seeing as Deidara looked ready to murder the next person who pissed him off. Which was when the rest of Naruto's team found him. There you are, Naruto! Sakura shouted. Naruto tensed. He knew he had forgotten something. He had forgotten to tell his teammates to not shout his name. Naruto-kun? Did someone say Naruto? It is around the time he would be here. And just like that, a horde of fangirls was descending on him. Run! Naruto and Deidara shouted, breaking out into a full-on run as fangirls chased after him. You know where to find me. Deidara called out to him as he broke away. Traitor! Naruto called back. It took him a couple minutes, but he managed to get away enough to henge. If his henge looked had the face of Tobirama, and flat hair like Hashirama that was black like Madara's. Well, no one alive would really be able to tell. He used the merge form so Kakashi would know it was him. Hey Kakashi-sensei, he chirped going back to where his team seemed to be in shook. Especially Sasuke. Naruto, Kakashi greeted with a nod. Eh? Naruto? Sakura repeated. Yeah, word of advice Sakura, do not shout my name here. The fangirls are a menace. How do you have fangirls, Dobe? The tournament. Naruto went through the village and was soon caught up with Deidara at the gate who was waiting for him. He at least seemed calmer now. Deidara grinned as they walked to the training field. Let's test out your T4, do you have one prepared? Yes, though I'm not sure if it will work as expected, since I have to do it in parts, the first 3 then add 1. Doing all 4 at once right now is inadvisable. Deidara shot him a questioning look and Naruto just glanced at his 2 teammates. The blonde bomber gave a nod of understanding. The 2 grinned at each other and placed the marble down. Then they backed away, well over 1,000 feet. Think this is far enough? Deidara questioned at 1,500 feet. Yeah, from what the previous bombs had showed this will be about 900 feet. Deidara whistled. Sweet. We about to explode the T4? Kurama asked, a pyromaniacal gleam in his eyes. Yep, Naruto responded. He crossed his fingers. Bombs away, Katsu. The last word was whispered with a voice only a true pyromaniac can do properly. Seconds passed as per normal, and he heard Sasuke scoff. Boom! Naruto and Deidara beamed as they watched the demonic chakra expand, burning hot into a 960-foot blast radius. Naruto glanced at Sasuke and Sakura to see them gaping in shock, especially when the vision cleared and the 40-foot deep crater was revealed, the sides still melting. Dobe, teach me how to make those. Sasuke demanded, staring at him. Deidara rolled his eyes and started fiddling with one of his other explosions, throwing it and blowing it up after a moment. No can do, you don't have the chakra for it. What do you mean? If that useless guy can make them, then so can I. Sasuke said, gesturing to Deidara. Said Jounin narrowed his eyes. My bloodline allows me to make explosions. Not just anybody can make them as I do. That's obviously a lie, after all the Dobe can make them. Sasuke pointed out. I don't make them the same way Deidara does, I have to use a chakra mutation of mine to make them. Chakra mutation? Sakura questioned. Yes, chakra mutations are what some believe lead to new bloodlines. A person would be born with a second source of chakra, and they can use this chakra differently than normal chakra. If it is passed on to a child, then the mutation is somewhat refined to the purpose the first person used it for. Over several generations, the mutation becomes a bloodline, being used for specific abilities. Hashirama-sama had a chakra mutation which let him manipulate wood. As it was so powerful, most called it a bloodline. But as it was not passed on to his children, it was in fact just a mutation. Kakashi answered her. Hashirama nodded in confirmation to this explanation. It's a shame it didn't pass down though. This is useless. Why are we here in this place instead of training to get stronger? Sasuke muttered with a pathetic glare. Because I am on vacation, and you are my guards to make sure I'm not kidnapped or attacked. Naruto said with a tired sigh. It seems that Sasuke was in his more talkative mood today, which is annoying because the revenge-obsessed boy was arrogant and conceited, making talking with him for more than a few sentences a chore in patience. You be kidnapped or attacked? Sasuke snorted disbelievingly. Deidara raised an eyebrow. Do they not know? Naruto shook his head. No. Deidara chuckled. You brats wanted some training then? I suppose I could teach you two a basic earth jutsu. Sasuke scoffed. What could a nobody like you teach an Uchiha like me anyways? All I see is a failure of a shinobi. You are just some wannabe artist, and your sculptures suck and barely resemble anything. The explosions themselves are just pathetic. With each word, Sasuke dug his own grave deeper and deeper. Sensei, you might want to get Sakura out of here. Naruto messaged quickly. Kakashi, seeing the growing rage on the older blonde's expression, shined Sakura out of there. What did you just say to me? Deidara asked, deadly quiet, his eyes shadowed. Sasuke sneered. I said you were a lame shinobi and even more pathetic artist. Deidara's eyes seemed to be on fire as he snarled. I graduated top of my class of the IWA Explosion Corps. I have taken S-rank missions, and even killed S-rank opponents with my art. Deidara took a deep breath and continued on, going a bit slower, as if speaking to a naive child. I have killed hundreds of enemies, whether they be bandits or ninjas. I have been trained by Tsuchikage-sama himself, and I am the only ninja of my class to have become a jounin so far. As he ranted, his words sped up. You are nothing but a snot-nosed genin. I can kill brats like you easily. You think your clan means anything? Think again. You think you can talk trash about my art and get away with it? You have another thing coming for you. Deidara took a deep breath. I can kill you in more ways than you even knew was possible, and that's just with my art alone. I could take you out even without my art. I am a jounin of IWA for a reason. You think you're so tough. Deidara gave a vicious grin. I am going to beat it through your skull that you're not. The blonde bomber of IWA then proceeded to attack Sasuke with taijutsu faster than the boy could keep track of, even with his Sharingan. Naruto and the spirits watched as the arrogant Uchiha got beat down. They even had popcorn to eat. Brining Sasuke and Sakura along might not have been such a bad idea after all. Naruto sighed in amusement. Maybe this will teach him some humility. Tobirama stated, looking at Sasuke in disgust. At least with you, Madara, you can back up your arrogant claims. Madara just nodded. He certainly didn't get his father's brains. Doesn't this seem a bit harsh? Hashirama asked, worried as Deidara kicked Sasuke hard. No, Tobirama and Madara said at the same time. And if you got those two in agreement, then obviously that is the correct answer, Naruto sighed cheekily. Hashirama sighed but didn't say anything further. They continued to watch as Sasuke was trained in endurance by Deidara. Chapter 40. Warning: this chapter contains something that is a horrible, terrible, unspeakable act of humiliation. No sane person should ever be forced to suffer this cruel and unusual punishment. Sasuke's POV. He looked up at the ceiling of the hotel room, wincing as he slowly sat up. He was still sore from the training Deidara had given him. He huffed, still angry that even with his Sharingan he had been unable to beat that blonde bomb lover. Not only that, but Deidara and Naruto seemed like such good friends. Why was Naruto friends with that loser? Why had Naruto picked to be friends with that bug boy instead of him? His father had been no help when he had asked many years ago, saying something useless that people could have a lot of friends. He didn't need friends. But it would have been nice to have Naruto fight by his side. The blonde idiot was strong. Why did Naruto have that strength? Why was he so strong? Sasuke should be the stronger one. He should be the one with the power. He needed the strength to take vengeance on his brother, to punish him for the crimes against his clan. Instead, Naruto had all the power. He could create those strange bombs, and had that large weapon, the gunbai. Naruto was no slouch with taijutsu, or even ninjutsu. How could Naruto learn all of that? Was it simply because the Hokage favored him? Was there some other reason Naruto could be so strong? How was it that Naruto could use a gunbai? Sasuke hadn't even heard of that weapon outside of the stories that had been told to him by his father. Stories told of the clan from generation to generation. Sasuke didn't really believe some of the tales though, figuring them to be exaggerations. After all, it was unlikely that one man could defeat an entire village. Sasuke shook his head, trying to refocus his thoughts. He wanted to know how Naruto could be so powerful. Was it perhaps because of this chakra mutation that Kakashi had told them about? Sasuke wasn't sure if he believed what the lazy sensei told them. That people could be born with a second source of chakra, that this mutation could become a bloodline if it was passed on, that the Shodai's Mokutan was not in fact a bloodline, but a mutation. That was probably the most unbelievable information of all. Sasuke had never even seen this other chakra Naruto supposedly had. Then again, Naruto was pretty secretive. He didn't tell them anything unless he had to. Sasuke got up and started getting ready. Today Naruto would be doing whatever that tournament was. Kakashi mentioned last night it was unlikely they would be able to see it, so they would have to figure out what to do for the day. As he exited the room, he saw Sakura exit hers as well. She smiled at him and instantly was by his side. Though she remained silent, sending him a worried glance. Probably due to the fact he was scowling. What was this tournament that Naruto won, supposedly without losing any rounds? He tried to figure out how Naruto could participate in it, but the blonde had just glared at him and told him that a non-resident needed a sponsor. Of course, Sasuke couldn't believe that anyone from IWA would sponsor Naruto. He wasn't liked in Konoha, so why would a foreign village, one known for hating Konoha like Naruto? Naruto had smirked, in an almost Uchiha-like way as he told them that his uncle sponsored him. Of course, Kakashi then had to tell them it was the Tsukage that Naruto called his uncle. It just wasn't fair. Naruto was on a familial basis with so many powerful people. And then that other blonde idiot had made his appearance. Sasuke growled at remembering Naruto shouting Deidara and how the two of them acted like brothers. Kakashi even seemed to know the boy as he asked him about shape transformation resulting in the bird the boy had been traveling on to explode into a blue firebird. It had been impressive, but Sasuke was in no way going to let the others know that. Then the two idiots went on about the explosion being art. Laughing and smiling. It irked him. How could they be so happy and carefree? He couldn't take seeing Naruto being so happy with the other boy. So he snapped at them. Explosions are not art. He got twin looks of horror from the two as Deidara muttered. Begone, foul demon. Sasuke gritted his teeth, glaring at the older blonde. How dare he call him a demon? Then Naruto seemed to shift. Sasuke had seen this a few times before, how the blonde seemed to change and almost become someone else. He suspected that the blonde had multiple personality disorder. Naruto straightened his back from his more relaxed posture, and he crossed his arms and scowled as he questioned. What kind of Uchiha are you that you do not like explosions? His tone was condescending and scolding, as if Naruto knew what being a Uchiha was like and Sasuke didn't. Sasuke growled. You're not even a Uchiha! Of that Sasuke was sure. What would you know about my clan? He demanded to know. Only for Naruto to smirk arrogantly, and now that Sasuke thought about it, that smirk did seem like a Uchiha smirk. Naruto gave him a smug look as he taunted. More that you ever will. He couldn't let that insult slide, of course, and so he tried to punch the infuriating boy, who sidestepped easily. It didn't even take the boy any effort. Sasuke watched as the blonde seemed to shift again, and his face blanked, revealing no emotions. Despite the other boy being a couple centimeters shorter, Sasuke got the impression that Naruto was looking down at him as he spoke in a matter-of-fact tone. You Uchiha always think you are so superior just because of your bloodline. Sasuke was about to retort when Kakashi told them to stop, and Naruto just beamed happily. It annoyed him that Naruto could get away with insulting his clan. Kakashi didn't even try and scold him for it. But Kakashi had scolded him. When Naruto had been up on that bird with Deidara, Kakashi had been telling him to calm down and to stop being so antagonistic. Do you have any idea what the tournament could be, Sasuke-kun? Sakura asked him as they wandered around. No, he answered her, scowling again. Why did Naruto get such special treatment? Naruto-kun must be pretty strong to be the champion of the tournament. Sakura mused out loud. Sasuke scoffed. He's not that strong. Sasuke knew he was lying. He just didn't want to believe that the dead last could be so strong. Though he knew the boy was. Sasuke just didn't understand how. He had been friends with Naruto, before Naruto had picked to be friends with that bug boy instead of him. Sasuke had known even back then that Naruto was stronger than his status, as dead last indicated. It still made no sense to him that Naruto wouldn't reveal how strong he was to the class, to stop the others from teasing him and bullying him over the fact he was the clanless dead last. They saw his inability to do the bunshin, and the weird muted henges he did, and thought Naruto was weak. Are you talking about Naruto-sama? An IWA ninja asked them with a curious tilt of his head. Sakura nodded. The IWA ninja seemed to be judging them before he grinned. Naruto-sama is really strong, that's why he is the reigning champion of the tournament for the past 5 years. Beating even Tsukage-sama. Sasuke shook his head in disbelief. How can the doe beat a Kage? Aren't they supposed to be strong? Sakura frowned at him, but he ignored her. The IWA ninja, who had a scar on his cheek, grinned at them. So you think you can do better? He scoffed in response. Of course he could do better. Alright then, how about a little deal? I will sponsor you in the tournament so you can get a chance to beat Naruto. If one of you win against him, I will give the both of you 5 jutsu scrolls each. Sasuke raised an eyebrow, interested. And if we lose? He questioned. Of course he wouldn't lose, but it was still better to know the terms before agreeing. If you lose, you will suffer public humiliation. That didn't sound that bad. Very well then, I agree, the IWA ninja smirked. And what about you? He questioned, looking at Sakura. She hesitated. You both won't need to beat him, only one of you. With both of you in, you have a higher chance to beat him. Alright then. She finally agreed after glancing at Sasuke. Wonderful, my name is Asa Sakura, I will be your sponsor. Follow me. With that, the guy led them to a large stadium. This stadium is where we host the tournament. It is also where we host the Chunin exams when it comes time for us to do so. The group walked in and Sasuke saw many ninjas and civilians milling about. Looking around, he saw Naruto and Kakashi speaking with an old man, who wore the Tsukage hat. Asa Sakura led them over to the man and quickly they were signed up. You made a bet? To win against me? Naruto asked them, shocked before he laughed. You guys are going to lose. Sasuke snorted. Naruto smirked. Do you even know what the tournament is? This tournament is one of the most fierce competitions. Desperation and fear are common emotions to feel. If you're not strong enough, this competition could break your spirit. Deidara told them after Sakura shook her head. Sasuke rolled his eyes, thinking them to be overdramatic. Naruto scoffed at them before turning to Inoki. I'm going to defeat you once more, old man. Usual bet? Inoki grumbled, but nodded. Hello and welcome. It is once more time for the formal annual tournament. Non-competitors, please make your way to the stands. All competitors, please find a seat at one of the tables. With that, people started moving. Sasuke noticed that Inoki and Naruto sat at different tables, while Kakashi went up to take a seat in the stands. With a shrug, Sasuke went to sit at a more central table and Sakura went to a corner table. A few minutes later, the announcer came back on. As you all know, we have Solid Hand Naruto, Slayer of Wicked Eyes, here to keep his place as the reigning champ of Janken. Fallen King Inoki will once more hope that Solid Hands loses a single hand, so Naruto-sama is forced to forfeit due to their yearly bet. But this year we also got a grudge match between Kuratsuchi and Deidara. Deidara is looking to regain his title as third place winner, which Kuratsuchi took in the last semi-formal match. We also have Naruto-sama's teammates Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno joining us this year. With them being so close with Solid Hand Naruto, it makes one wonder if they will display any of the talent that Solid Hand Naruto displays. But before we can witness these sure to be spectacular matches, we have to start from the bottom. Remember, cheating is allowed so long as you don't get caught. Let's start this party with round 1, 5 rounds of 50 hands. Begin. Sasuke was shocked. All of this drama over Janken? He turned to face his opponent and started to play. He would win this easily. He beat his opponent, but he still lost a few hands. If what the announcer said was true, then Naruto didn't lose a single hand. And if he did, then he had to forfeit. Round 2 came quickly and it was now 5 rounds of 100 hands. When the third round started, there were a little more than 80 people from what Sasuke noticed. As we prepare to enter the third round, the Wheel of Additions is being set up. For those unaware, since this is the annual tournament in which the 10 best players must contest against everyone else on fair footing, there is an extra rule in place. The wheel will be spun each round until there is an uneven amount of contestants left. The wheel was set up next to the announcer, who spun the wheel. The wheel clicked rapidly for a minute until it started to slow down. Click. 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 Alright, the wheel has declared that dogs, cats, and chickens will be added into the arena. There shall be a 10-minute break while we gather up the animals. Contestants are not allowed to leave the arena. 10 minutes passed by in stiffness as the atmosphere quickly became tense as competitors glared at each other. Sasuke turned to glance at Naruto and saw him with his arms crossed, sneering at the few who glared at him. When someone glanced at him without glaring, Naruto would just smirk, seemingly smug about his position. Soon, though, the animals were brought in and released. It was a gathering of more animals than Sasuke could ever remember seeing. There seemed to be hundreds of dogs and cats. Now with the animals, the third round will be 5 rounds of 100 hands. Begin. And with that they started. Everything seemed calm for a couple minutes, but then animals started to get rowdy as they fought each other, chased each other. Some people started to be disqualified early for missing the time to show the hand position. Eep. Get off of me. He distantly heard Sakura screech, her voice managing to be heard over the symphony of hisses and howls, meows and barks. A flash of pink caught his vision, and he saw her looking upset as she left to the stands following another disqualified person. He scoffed as he threw out scissors. How pathetic that she lost in this stupid tournament. It was easy to figure out his opponent's style and strategy. It didn't take too much longer for the round to end. Alright, with 41 contestants remaining, we will now change to a 1v1 knockout style. 2 names will be randomly selected. If you lose, you are out. But if you win, your name will be placed back in the drawing bag. This means that some might be called multiple times and others not at all, as we eliminate people until there is only 10 people remaining. This is the humiliation round, which means that if you lose, the wheel of humiliation is spun and the loser will face whatever punishment the wheel dictates. Of course, a person may instead forfeit a match if they don't want to risk losing. Names were called and Sasuke noticed that most people choose to forfeit after a stare down at their opponent instead of fighting them. Sasuke couldn't understand why, even after a few people lost. The punishments didn't seem too bad to him. One was as simple as a person dyeing their hair, another had to dress as a chicken and act like one for a while. It didn't escape his notice that the crowd seemed disappointed and the losers relieved. Perhaps it meant they got off lightly then. Sasuke's eyes narrowed as Naruto's name was finally called against some other ninja named Ace of Sakura. Damn, just my luck. Sasuke heard the man grumble. He saw that Naruto seemed amused as he chuckled. I assume you want to forfeit? The man nodded. Ain't no way that I'm going to suffer humiliation. If I thought I had a chance of winning, I would risk it. But not against you, Solid Hand. Winner by forfeit, Solid Hand Naruto. The announcer called out before a few more rounds went, most forfeiting. Alright, and our next contestants are Kuratsuchi the Sublime and Uchiha, Sasuke. So he walked up to the central table. An older teenager, about 16, walked up confidently. Her hair was short and framed her face. Her black eyes glinted as she looked down at him. You should just forfeit. You have no chance against me. I have held a spot in the top 10 for the past 6 years. He glared at her in response even as he observed her, trying to work out what kind of player she would be. She seemed to wear what he assumed was the standard IWA attire, as he had seen others wearing similar clothes. A red uniform with the right sleeve missing and the brown IWA flak jacket. As if I would let some female beat me. Sasuke didn't know what prompted him to say that, but he hated the way she was looking at him as if he was nothing. He gritted his teeth. No one ever saw him as someone who was strong. They all thought he was weak. Itachi. Naruto. He would become stronger than both of them. He would prove them wrong. He was strong. Kuratsuchi glared at him. Just for that I'm going to make you suffer. With that the two began a fierce battle, both winning and losing at an equal rate, which seemed to frustrate her. Hand after hand they played, and Sasuke was unable to find any pattern to her movement. At first it seemed that she focused heavily on paper and rock, but then she switched to more paper and scissors. Then scissors and rock. There was no telling what move she was going to make next. If only he could use his Sharingan, then he would be able to beat her and Naruto. Unfortunately, that would be considered obvious cheating. He barely managed to win the first round as it was 51-49. The next round Kuratsuchi managed to win, 51 to his 44. As soon as someone hit 51 the round was over, even if there were still hands to be played. Sasuke growled in frustration and Kuratsuchi smirked as she won the third round. You're going down, emo brat. He managed to win the fourth round and it was tied 2-2. All he needed to do was win this last round and he would be closer to his goal of beating Naruto. He narrowed his eyes in concentration. He was not going to lose. Kuratsuchi chuckled. Are you scared yet, duckbutt? Sasuke felt as if his teeth would break from how hard they were gritted together. He glared at her hatefully as they played the final round. He won, he lost, he won, he lost. Back and forth they went, hand after hand until it was 49-50 in her favor. This was the final hand. If he could win this he could tie it up and they would do another round. If she won then he lost and would have to go through with the humiliating punishment. As the referee called out the words he decided to go rock. He pushed his fist out at the same time as she did, and he watched as she unfurled her fingers into paper. He had lost. And the winner is Kuratsuchi the Sublime. There was a loud cheer and the announcer waited a moment for it to die down. Alright, let us see what is Sasuke Uchiha's punishment for losing. The announcer gave the wheel a hard spin. CL click 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 click. 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 Sasuke saw the wheel land on an obnoxiously pink slice of the wheel. And Sasuke will be undergoing the humiliation of Pinkie Pie giggle at the ghostly. He heard a few mutters of confusion and a few chuckles. Then he heard Naruto guffawing loudly. Please give us a minute to set up the humiliation. The announcer spoke and a couple IWA ninjas dragged him away. Use your Sharingan and memorize this. An IWA ninja commanded, playing a small video with lyrics. Sasuke turned his Sharingan on and watched. Then he paled in horror. I have to sing that? He questioned. The IWA ninja smirked. You also will have to dress up and then do a dance as well. Another ninja came in holding the clothes. Time for you to change. Do I have to? Sasuke complained. Yes. This is the punishment. There is no other way. Face your punishment with dignity. Sasuke whimpered as he got dressed in the dress, which was mostly pink with some white and a few other colors. The top half was white with purple lining and had a pink heart in the middle of it. Around the waist was a purple bow, and then the bottom of the dress puffed out. It was also pink, but on the side there were 3 balloons, 2 blues and 1 yellow in the center. Then he had to wear a blue top which had sleeves halfway to his elbows and a blue bracelet on each of his wrists. Underneath was white stockings and tall blue boots with white ribbons and pink bows. Then for the final touch they pinned a hot pink wig onto his hair. The hair was long and curly and fluffy. For the dance, do what Pinkie Pie did, though you don't have to be on your hands and feet. You only have to sing Pinkie Pie's lines. You ready? The guy asked after another couple minutes. No. Sasuke grumbled, crossing his arms. Too bad, it's time. With that he walked out onto the stage, which had been transformed to look like the forest that had been in the video he watched. And now it is time for Uchiha Sasuke to face his punishment for losing. He will be performing as Pinkie Pie for the song Giggle at the Ghostly. Someone end me now, Sasuke thought as he tried to not blush in embarrassment, and failing horribly. He heard the music start, and so gritting his teeth he started to sing the stupid song. If he was forced to do this, he was not going to put any inflection in his voice. When I was a little filly and the sun was going down. Tell me he's not, Naruto said, filling in the next line with a chuckle. Already he could hear people snickering. He winced as he started to move a little in a poor imitation of a dance. He knew he looked more like he was stomping his feet in protest. He didn't care. The darkness and the shadows, they would always make me frown. He winced as he heard Sakura fill in the next line. He is. It seems that they got his teammates to fill in the other roles of this ridiculous song. I'd hide under my pillow from what I thought I saw, but Granny Pie said that wasn't the way to deal with fears at all. He stated rather than sung as he pranced around the stage looking at the various trees. Kakashi turned a page of his book. Then what is? He inwardly was sobbing. Why was he having to suffer this? It was all Naruto's fault. She said, Pinkie, you gotta stand up tall, learn to face your fears, you'll see that they can't hurt you. Just laugh to make them disappear. Sasuke stopped his inane dancing in front of a tree. Ha! 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 He stated blandly. With a small poof, the scary face disappeared. He rolled his eyes as he had already seen that they were using a genjutsu to place the face on the fake tree. Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi all gave out a small gasp of pretend shook. So giggle at the ghostly, guffaw at the grossly, crack up at the creepy, whoop it up with the weepy, chortle at the kooky, snortle at the spooky. He monotoned as he continued to do the stupid prancing around the stage. Please, if anyone has any mercy on me now, he silently begged in his mind. Finally, though, it was time for the last part of the stupid song. And tell that big dumb scary face to take a hike and leave you alone, and if he thinks he can scare you, then he's got another thing coming, and the very idea of such a thing just makes you wanna. He sighed and gave the most deadpan laugh he could. Ha! He finally stopped the dancing and faced the audience as he said the last word. Laugh. The crowd broke out into rancorous laughing and people cheered. Sasuke walked as quickly as he could without making it seem like running back to the changing room and put on his regular clothes. It was as he was making his way to sit next to Sakura and Kakashi in the audience stand that he remembered he had lost the bet. He would have to suffer through some other punishment. He groaned as he sat down next to Sakura, who gazed down at Naruto worried. Others forfeited and some lost, and a couple people had to suffer their own horrible, unspeakable punishments that were nearly as bad as his. After another half-hour thought, there remained only 10 people, Naruto among them, as was Deidara, Inoki, and that female Kuratsuchi that he fought against. It is now time for the ranking. To start, the final 10 will each draw numbers to show where you are currently ranked. After that, the 10 people will challenge each other until they are either satisfied with their spot, or 30 minutes have passed. It will be 3 rounds of 10 hands. After the half hour has passed, we can start on the final challenges. Sasuke watched as the 10 drew numbers, and then once they had done they lined up on order from Naruto being in last place to Kuratsuchi holding number 1. Remember, you can only challenge the person above you in rank. Start! He watched as the 10 started to challenge each other. He mostly focused on Naruto as he quickly beat number 9, and then once number 8 had won against 7 he fought the new 8 remaining unchallenged by the person he had beat to reach number 9. This continued on until Naruto was the second highest person, underneath the Tsuchikage. Sasuke saw the two of them nod at each other in greeting. Deidara quickly was in number 3 while Kurotosuke was in number 4. The two of them kept fighting each other and switching positions between 3 and 4. A whistle blew at the end of the half hour, and the 10 finished up their matches. Now it is time for the final challenges. This year it will be 3 rounds of 50 hands. 10th place? I challenge, the guy said, and proceeded to play against number 9 but lost. They continued on a few changing ranks, but he paid no mind to them. It was once Kuratsuchi was challenged by number 5 that he watched. She beat the person then challenged Deidara and lost. Deidara challenged Naruto but lost. Finally it was Naruto versus the Tsuchikage Inoki. It is now time for the match we have all been waiting for. As we all want to see the intense battle between fallen King Inoki and Solid Hand Naruto, Slayer of the Wicked Eyes, then we shall have longer matches. It will be 5 rounds of 100 hands played out to full. As per normal, Inoki and Naruto have made their usual bet that if Naruto loses a single hand he must forfeit. The crowd cheered and the announcer chuckled. Let's begin then. Sasuke watched as the two fought, and was shocked in that Naruto never lost. He made it seem easy that he was beating Inoki. It wasn't long that the rounds were done, and he saw Inoki slump down in defeat. He had lost all of them. Some tables were brought out, and the final 10 sat down, and a few ninjas brought out some posters and people were getting up and making their way down. Naruto-sama! He heard many female voices call out, and shuddered as he saw them rush towards Naruto. Still, it was better the blonde than him. Kakashi dismissed them, telling them to do as they wished. So Sasuke left the building. He didn't want to be around the crowd of people who had seen him have to do that stupid song and dance. A few minutes later he saw the ninja he and Sakura had made a bet with earlier coming towards him, Sakura following him looking meek. Alright, I got the perfect punishments for you two since you lost. Follow me. Asa Sakura spoke, chuckling. Sasuke scowled and thought about running away, but he knew the ninja was probably a Chunin or Jonin, and would easily catch him. At least he would face his punishment with dignity. They were led to a hair salon and Sakura was forced to get her hair cut short, in a style similar to Kuratsuchi. He had his hair dyed to a hot pink color. The exact shade of Pinkie Pie. Sasuke wanted to die in mortification, especially when IWA people kept calling him that. Eventually he and Sakura were led to a restaurant with Naruto and the Tsuchikage. Naruto smirked at him. Ended up liking your hair pink? No, Sasuke growled. We lost a bet. Sakura informed them, shifting her hair looking awkward. The style didn't suit her at all. Tomorrow, we will head out after midday to head back to Konoha. Naruto, try not to cause mass panic with that experiment of yours and Deidara. Sasuke watched as the two blondes just grinned. Well, you know we will be working on it, so really there is no need to panic. The Tsuchikage narrowed his eyes. What are you two up to? The blondes just smiled, and Sasuke knew there was nothing innocent about them. It wasn't his issue to deal with. Finally they retired to his room and he fell asleep. He awoke to a roar. Leaping out of his bed he dashed to the window and stared in horror as he saw at the far edge of the village a giant nine-tailed fox. The Kyuubi. How was it here? Didn't the fourth defeat it? He saw the tails whip around as the fox roared again. He activated his Sharingan and hastily covered his eyes as he saw the fox was about to explode. Even with his hands covering his eyes he saw white behind his eyelids. Naruto Uzumaki and Deidara Bow! A voice roared out, and Sasuke saw the Tsuchikage briefly as he leapt towards the direction the Kyuubi had been. Sasuke debated going after and finding out what was going on, then shrugged and returned to his bed. He could ask the Dobe tomorrow.